I'm sure you're way better now.
Mike, there you go. All right, now we are ready. Guys, I am so excited about tonight's podcast. We have a living legend on the show. A living, not just Third Strike legend, but FGC legend.
Wow.
We got none other than the SoCal OG, the maybe the original, yeah, maybe the original Ken, the primordial Ken. What would it be, right? But we'll talk about that later. But anyway, guys, we got on the podcast. Welcome, Edma. How's it going, man?
Hey, dude, how's it going?
Dude,
just eating. Sorry for the delay.
Yeah, man. But well, first and foremost, I appreciate you coming on the show. I know that you haven't really been in the FGC for a while, and so I really appreciate you, willing to come on the show and maybe catch up, talk a little bit about some old times. And so,
yeah.
It's really cool of you, man.
I didn't even know this was going to be a show. I really thought that this was just until you told me, 30 minutes ago, I thought this was just going to be me talking to you. And then you were going to record this shit.
Those are lies.
And I was like, all right, whatever, cool.
These are lies. Ed's memory is just isn't what it used to be.
Do I look pretty? No, I really didn't know that. I don't care, but I just thought it was funny.
And so, before, we kind of get into how you came up in the FGC and the things that you accomplished, back when Third Strike, first came out and it was sort of at the height of its popularity in the old school FGC. Just a little bit of background, Ed, I know that you had seen the recent documentary that Phil Nolan had produced on the Jazzy Circuit Season 1 finale, which happened at last year's Defend the North. By the way, shout outs to City of Brass and Charles and everyone on the DTN team for hosting Season 1 and believing in the Jazzy Circuit. And so, so Ed, you had mentioned that you had seen the documentary.
Right, yeah, I was just, like everyone, I was just casually browsing YouTube and whatever got recommended to me or something like that. And so I just started watching it. And like I told you, I had no idea that the Third Strike Exchange was still kind of big, and then I also had no idea that you were running this thing. So that's why I messaged you, because I thought, hey, it's really cool that you're doing that, and B, I want to catch up with you too. But yeah, it was just nice to see that you're doing this entire event for the game that you love and for the community. So I was really impressed. Basically, is what it comes down to it.
Well, thank you so much, Ed. And going back to the documentary, what were some of the things that kind of stood out to you? I mean, I'm sure that there were some familiar faces that you sort of recognized.
Honestly, there's only one familiar face besides you, which was Yi, who apparently
you didn't see Tom. You didn't see Arliath. You didn't see Arliath Preleri. He was being interviewed.
Oh, Tom? I did see him. That's true. Yeah, but at the players, I didn't see them playing because I saw Justin playing. That's right. I saw Justin. But Justin, you see in every single fucking Street Fighter documentary ever, for whatever reason. He's just everywhere. So you always
he's the Babe Ruth of FGC, right? Isn't he?
It could be like Skullgirls. You probably see Justin fucking talking.
Well, that's because he could probably win a Skullgirls tournament.
Yeah, he probably could. But what did stand out to me? I saw Yi. Yi is who is the embodiment of Ken now, I guess, or something, which is what somebody said. Which is funny because that just made me think I remember when you couldn't do fierce monkey kick.
It starts.
He was like, I can't do this combo. Anyway, and it's the truth. Well, everybody's like that. And no, I mean, what stood out to me is there's clearly still a really I don't know how big the scene is, but
it's small.
Passionate fan base.
It's small, but the people who are part of it really care about the game.
That's what I could tell. Yeah, very people love him.
Yeah, and even the newer players, the younger players, one of the things that I started to kind of recognize is that, a lot of younger players, a big reason why they're, and I don't want to turn this into a, bash SF5 session, but a lot of the players, especially a lot of the newer players and the younger players that are gravitating towards Third Strike, it's because they're not big fans of, some of the more modern fighting games that are out there right now, like Street Fighter Five, and some of the other stuff that's out. And so, to each its own, right?
Yeah, everybody has their own mix.
But I think it's great that Third Strike is still there for those kind of people. You know what I mean? People who who aren't really feeling the other games, and that's kind of what makes the FGC, right? Because it's not just one game; it's like a myriad of games. And
yeah, exactly. And I think that like Third Strike, as much as I bash on it or whatever, is it definitely does something that really no other fighting game does.
It's unique. Definitely unique.
It's unique, right? The way you play the game is very, very unique, and it's I bash on it, but it's fun. If you choose to play and engage in that style of play, it's very fun. So it's very obvious why people like it, right? It's a fun game to play if you like that kind of stuff. So yeah, I just thought it was cool. I saw that documentary, and there's always players still playing. So I hope you're still going to be doing it for this year, although I guess with everything happening, I don't know what's going on with that, but
so back in March, we had to. The decision was to temporarily postpone season 2. We were in the middle. Well, we were actually towards the tail end of season 2. Season 2 began last October at East Coast Throwdown, which is an event that's run by L.I. Joe and Zach Catterman and Sweet Johnny Cage. Shout outs to those guys. You might have heard of ECT before. But anyway, the season started last October, and the regular season was supposed to end basically at the end of last month. It was supposed to run about like through the first week of May. But of course, March, all that stuff happened.
Yeah.
There were literally Jazzy events scheduled on that weekend.
Yeah.
Kind of around that week when everything kind of went to shit. And so we just kind of had to scramble and just make the decision to just kind of suspend the circuit until we could determine, a suitable course of action. And so, I'm glad that you asked that question, Ed, because, I have been, getting more people curious about when Jazzy's going to restart. And
I guess the answer is you just don't know, huh?
Yeah, man, it's
kind of thing.
Yeah, it's rough. There's so many factors, and I don't know if you're following. I know you weren't much of a sports fan, but a lot of the sports leagues, this is a problem that they're dealing with right now. Like we were talking about off air, the economic impact of this pandemic is just catastrophic, and so a lot of these sports leagues, they have to figure out, okay, what are we gonna do? Because these leagues, much like the Jazzy circuit, not that I would compare, the Jazzy circuit to the NBA or anything, right? But the structure is kind of similar. The circuit is made up of different venues, and it's like a network of different venues and different TOs from different states. And so any kind of decision to try to restart a league is just it's going to be a decision that's going to be very difficult to
and there's no way you're going to do it online, right?
No.
Like, there's no
That's what I think. If there's
Evo's going online, dude. So
yeah, with Fighting Herds, Skullgirls, and like some other games, but not like the main games. There's a reason why Evo is not hosting some of the more mainstream games, but that's another podcast for another. Another topic for another podcast. Let's get back to Third Strike, man.
Okay.
No, but one of the reasons why I wanted you on here, dude, is, and I know I talked a little bit about this off air, but the FGC is getting to that kind of point where we're starting to kind of look back. Obviously, you and I are around the same age range, late 30s, early 40s. And so many of us in that age range who were part of the FGC, naturally we're starting to kind of look back and think about our history and stuff. And I mean, I don't want to speak for anyone else, Ed, but back when, you and I were in our 20s in the FGC, like, we could care less about any of that shit, right? Like, we were just kids, just having fun, playing and relaxing. But as we get older, Yeah, as we get older and as the FGC has changed, obviously with the effect that esports has had on the FGC, more and more people are starting to take an interest in the history of the FGC. And the thing is, not many people back in the day really cared about those things. I'm not saying that nobody did. There were a few people that were really interested in kind of documenting the things that would happen. But one of the reasons why I kind of do this podcast is to get people like yourself to a chance or an opportunity to kind of tell your story and give your testimony and share your experiences, because without
cool.
this,
Yeah.
like, who knows, maybe someone in the future may want to write a book on the FGC or on Third Strike. You never know.
Hey, by the way, did that guy ever get in contact with you about the? I mean, we can talk about it later, but remember I mentioned that there's some guy who wants.
Yeah. There was a journalist. Yeah, he messaged me, and we're just kind of. I think we're just kind of waiting, or we're trying. I was waiting for him to kind of figure out a time or day.
Yeah, so I think that. So one, I think you're probably right. When we're in our 20s, and I think this is just a true thing for really anybody. But when I was in my 20s, playing fighting games, I mean, it was always just a hobby to me, and it was just like a thing you go out and you play and you just have fun, right? Like it was fun to just drive to the arcade, go there, get to the arcade. You walk into the doors and you're gonna see your friends and all that stuff. And as you get older, especially when you've gone through the process of a community or learning the games, whatever the community is, learning the ins and outs of a community, and really because you love the community. As you get older, of course, you just naturally want to pass on, or you want to keep the community going, and you want to pass on that knowledge and just sort of the stories and all that stuff onto the next generation of players. So it's only natural that I think that you want to be doing that. And I even back in 2008 or 2009, right? Like we were just playing games, but I imagine I would totally guess, I would bet anything that like guys like Valle and Choi, who are around my age, maybe they're a little bit older, but they're around my age. They're probably already in the process of like thinking about that kind of stuff. They're like, I want to give back to the community, because they were older than us, or they've been in the community longer than us, and they've probably already gone through that process of like, I've done the competitive side of things. I still want to do the competitive side of things, but I also want to give back to this community that I've been a part of for a long time. Mm-hmm. So it's only natural that you want to do this, and I actually want to do it too. That's why when I saw the documentary, I was like, oh, that's so awesome that you're doing this. And I hear about like, I keep Henry's Arcade, like that he's still keeping that going. Yeah, next level. That's really cool, because they're only doing it not because you're trying to make money. You're just doing it because you love the community so much. So yeah, it's awesome.
Awesome, and I'm glad to hear that you are interested in maybe being a part of the community again, maybe in some way or fashion. Whatever you're comfortable with.
I'm still part of the fighting game community.
Yeah.
I just maybe
you never really leave, right? Like in a way.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm still part of it. Actually, I've been playing a lot of Grand Blue lately.
Oh, okay.
So Grand Blue's pretty fun, and I'm trying to actually more so. I like anytime anybody asks me a question or seems like they're lost or whatever. Like I take my time to really answer their question as best as I can, right, based on their level of play or whatever. So I'm still part of it to a certain extent. I still hang out. I mean, I was like, okay, like I go to Evo. I don't know who anybody is anymore, right? Mm-hmm. If I went to Evo 10 years ago, I know like probably 90%, or at least I recognize like 90% of the community.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you go to Evo, I have no idea who anybody is, zero clue. So it's like I'm not part of the community in the competitive sense, but maybe like behind the scenes, I'm still somewhat part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Awesome. So speaking of the scene, man, like one of the reasons why I'm super excited to have you on the show is because I was I played Third Strike when it first came out in '99, but I didn't even know at the time. I didn't even know there was anything like such a thing as a FGC. Like I knew that there were like tournaments from the Game Pros and the EGM coverage, but I never knew like that there was a fighting game community, right? I never knew that there was like an actual community until my best friend Marvin, remember Marvin, Mr. Universe?
Yeah.
Kind of like sort of introduced me to that. So I first played Third Strike when it first came out in '99. Didn't really like it. And the first time I went to Family was 2000, late 2002, sometime around there. And so one of the reasons why I'm super excited to have you on the podcast is like I literally like I don't know like anything because and I think I've told this story before and you probably don't remember it because from your perspective it was just some random scrub, right? But like the first time I went to Family, there was a singles tournament and the first person I played was you.
Oh shit! But don't tell me you're gonna tell me like a Gutex story.
But you were using Dudley.
Am I gonna say some shitty thing to you or something?
No. You were using Dudley actually.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why you would decide to use Dudley, and I was using Ken. And I'm pretty sure
Dudley's cheap. I want to use Dudley.
And I'm pretty sure I used your color.
Okay.
I back then I'm pretty sure I used your color. It was either red or Daigo color.
Red. Yeah.
And I managed and I won. I beat you.
You obviously don't remember. Clearly, I was a scrub too.
No, but what's funny is like after like a good 15-20 minutes, because remember this is my first ever tournament, right? Like I have never been part of like anything FGC related before. That was like I went with some friends from UC Irvine, Team Control. Shout outs to all my guys and from UC Irvine that I used to play Third Strike with back in the day. We just and I told the story before in a previous podcast, but the only reason I even knew about Family Fun is because Yi 5-star was there visiting. I think he had a girlfriend who was going to UCI at the time, and he was at the Zot Zone at the UCI arcade, and I played him, and then after we played, he just kind of turned to me and go, "Hey man, if you want to see some really godlike Third Strike players, go to Family Fun in the Valley." That was the only reason I knew about Third Strike, and that kind of opened me up to the FGC. So like when I first went there, that was my first ever tournament, first ever experience, and so I didn't know any of the etiquette.
Awesome.
I didn't know.
And you won your first match.
Yeah, and I won my first match, and then I was like,
That's
okay,
cool,
so what am I supposed to do? Like, and then I think I remember. I'm not sure who said it. I'm not sure who told me. It might have been Shogo, or it might have been somebody. But like someone told me, like, "Hey man, you're supposed to shake the guy's hand or whatever." Okay. So I was like, "Oh, okay." But you know,
I'm sure I was upset. By the way, I don't remember any of this, but I'm sure I was mad. So
maybe.
Anyway, all right.
But if you remember back in back in those days in Family Fun, right? It was just like a row of caps.
Yeah, I remember.
So like,
caps. Yeah.
so like we managed like, and sometimes the cabs were like in the middle of the row.
Yeah,
and
so
we're talking like so you had to kind of walk all the way around, and so like I didn't know what to do, so I walked all the way around, and like and remember I don't know what you look like. Like go ahead and shake Edma's hand. Who the fuck is Edma? I don't know who Edma is. Right? It's just just shake the player's hand. So it was like I went around, and you weren't there, and so I was like, oh okay, well I guess my bad or whatever. And then like 15-20 minutes later, you actually came to me. And you're like, "Hey man, sorry, but I forgot to shake your hand." Like you actually did that. And I was like, okay.
Tell that story more, because the only story people hear about me in Third Strike is Gutex saying that I call him like a shitty scrub.
Okay, tell us that story.
So make sure you tell that story.
What was Gutex's story?
Something like I kind of remember this.
Okay.
But I think I played him on the. You remember sort of in the more center of the arcade there was like a bigger. It was like not a head-to-head. It was just like a side-by-side cabinet. Yeah. So I think I played him on that or something, and I beat him down like really bad. And then he always says that I turned to him and I said, "Do you even know how to play this game?" or something like that. I didn't know who he was. Now, admittedly, I'm sure I was a dick back then. I'm probably a little bit of a dick. But anyway, so it's nice to know that I did something polite to you. While I was shaking your hand, though, probably I was thinking to myself, "This fucking scrub."
Oh, probably. but that's okay, right? That's okay, because that's kind of what it was. And like I don't know, I haven't actually, now that I think about it, I haven't really sort of taken the time to kind of think about that first tournament experience, because like that's kind of a big deal. Like I had never known anything.
I bet that shaped your starting viewpoint of the community quite a lot. It could have easily gone much worse.
Yeah.
Maybe you would not have showed up anymore. I mean, I don't know. It depends on how much you like the game, So that's
Yeah. And before my first ever FGC tournament, I had gone to Southern Hills Golfland before. You
Hmm.
know, I would go with Marvin, and we would go like random Friday night or Saturday night. But like, you know, I grew up in arcades. You know, I grew up in Monterey Park, so I went to arcades all the time. And it's weird how like growing up in Monterey Park and playing in arcades. I guess I didn't play games that much, but like it's weird how like I didn't know that the FGC existed until like I was in my early 20s. Like that doesn't make any sense when I think about it because I mean, Monterey
You
Park,
must have
right,
you must have
man?
missed the Street Fighter. Did you miss the Street Fighter 2 era?
No, I grew up in that era. I mean, I played, but I was a little kid though. I was a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So there's a
So
difference there. Yeah, your perception is like you
yeah,
don't really realize there's a community. You're just like, oh, people are playing Street Fighter 2. I
but
mean,
yeah, man.
I didn't get into the fighting game community until, well, no, that's not true. I got into it during college. Actually, no, that's I actually did not play fighting games until college.
Yeah, yeah. Tell
So
me a
I
little.
wasn't.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about that, Ed. Because like I was saying, what I was trying to get to earlier, the point I was trying to make, is that one of the reasons I'm super excited is because when I attended my first tournament, I mean, it seems like you had already been in that kind of community already. Like you knew
Yeah.
kind of.
So
So like kind of when did it all start for you in terms of the
I don't
FGC
remember
and
the
stuff?
time. I don't remember the timeline of when I moved to Simi Valley area exactly because it was right after college.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, I didn't play fighting games really until college and maybe a little bit before that. But really, so I went to UCSD. The UCSD had an arcade, and at the time,
Do you remember what the name of the arcade was?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't even remember if it had a name. It probably did, but I don't remember the name of it. And and there were still a lot of people going to the arcade at that time, so there was a good amount of there was like a good amount of players to play. But that was where I learned really, and I don't want to say how to play Street Fighter, but that is where like my starting point of like really playing Street Fighter and games like King of Fighters and Tekken and Marvel, like because all those back then so many games were coming out or had already come out, and so there was a lot of games to pick from. So I don't remember I honestly don't even remember what my first game was. My very first game actually was X-Men versus Street Fighter.
Okay.
So I am actually I always say that I'm actually a versus scrub. So like, I mean, I played Street Fighter 2 when I was like 12, 13, but that's another story. But like, I didn't really, the first game I actually actively picked up in the arcade was X-Men versus Street Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And this was actually at Yellow Brick Road in San Diego for anybody who grew up in San Diego.
Yellow Brick Road.
There's
I
a mall
remember
called
hearing about that place.
yeah, there was a mall called UTC, and they had this arcade called Yellow Brick Road. And so I went there to go play X-Men vs. Street Fighter. That was probably right before college. But anyway, so I went. So probably just like a lot of people, right? So you start off with us, in your own little small community, and it just expands from there. So my small community was basically the UCSD arcade, and there was people there that I became friends with, and then like a couple, like one of them I actually ended up rooming with later. But anyway, so I played only in the UCSD arcade. I don't really recall going out to tournaments too much or anything. I was part of websites. Back then there was a couple websites. There was one that was called MIGS. Shit, I don't remember. There was these two like big kind of big fighting game websites, and I think that was before Shoryuken, but I don't remember now. Anyway, so second year, I think it was like around second year when this guy named Viscant showed up because he went to UCSD. So he's a year before me. I remember. I think this might have been after. Yeah, this might have been after. Yeah, summer vacation. So this might have been my second year. So I showed up in the arcade, and at that point, I think I was considered one of the better players in the arcade.
Okay.
For various fighting games, right? So I had no concept of a bigger community either.
Mm-hmm.
Much like you. I was just like, cool. This is my little scene, and I play, and I feel like I'm one of the better players here. Mm-hmm. And then I showed up in the arcade, and it was just after college, just after summer break, I think. And so it was packed. So there's tons of people in the arcade, and people were like, "Oh, dude, can you go beat this guy in Marvel? Because he's like beating everybody." So I was like, "All right, sure." And and he was doing, and it was Viscant, it was Jay. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know. Actually, do you know who that guy is?
I'm pretty sure that he and I might have crossed paths back in the day. But I mean, I obviously know Viscant from all the things that he's accomplished.
So he's been around
Marvel
for a long time
and
too.
SF4,
yeah. So that was the first time I met him, and I don't think we became good friends or anything. But he was doing some very technical, stupid shit to me. He was doing this thing called Zangief. I think it was called triple option select or something. I don't know if that was the term that was coined at the time. But that was sort of I think my sort of, and he beat me back. So that was sort of my first step into thinking like, wow, there's this, what is being good at a game mean? There's a bigger community, all this stuff. And I don't remember exactly why I started going to like local tournaments, or what games I started going to local tournaments for. But it was during that time, and I think Alpha CVS 1 had come out, Alpha 3 I think had come out at that point, and I started going to local tournaments in Alpha 3. And I actually remember the first time I met Valle, because even back then Valle was Valle, he had a mystique about him, and this was at a random, I think, Nickel City tournament, or maybe some random tournament in San Diego somewhere.
And what around what year was this?
I didn't meet him. I just saw him. I was like, "Oh, it's fucking Valle," and everyone's like, "That's Valle." Blah 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 blah. But what's up? What year was this?
Yeah, around what year was that? Like 2000?
So this was maybe? Probably 98, 99. I think.
Okay, 98, 99. Okay.
2000, something like that.
Okay.
Anyway, so there I started to get into the bigger San Diego scene. So I met guys like Viscant. I met guys like, I knew Shady K. If you know him, there's a guy named, there's just a bunch of other players that I started to meet in San Diego, and we sort of formed a community, as loose as you want to call it, and we would go to the local scenes and just go to the local arcades and play each other. And that might have also that also happened after that also continued after college, obviously. No, wait, no, did that college? No, that was during college, right? Because after college I moved to LA. But during that time, Golfland, Marvel 2 started to really explode, if I remember correctly. Or there was multiple games that were getting pretty big. And so we would start driving up to LA like every weekend or every other weekend or something like that.
Oh, you mean
to go to Southern Hills Golfland.
Oh, okay.
To go to Southern Hills Golfland to play in the tournaments. And so, right, so you start small, then you start to get introduced to the bigger community, which is San Diego, which is the San Diego player base. And then you're like, oh, let's start traveling to other areas. And now we're like the San Diego crew, and we go to LA. We start to like know about the LA players and all that. So it's a familiar story that like a lot of people, and probably everybody, at least back then, experienced. Now it's a different experience because of online and all that. But no, that was around then. It was about 99, 2000. And then, so after that, so back to your point, which is like, I had already started doing the tournament stuff before I even graduated. And then when I graduated, and Third Strike had come out while I was in college too, right? So Third Strike, and I actually remember the first time I played it, because actually one of the first games I played was Second Impact.
Okay.
That might have actually been the first Street Fighter game I actually played quite a bit in the arcade, UCSD arcade. And that was a long time ago. Anyway, and then it's funny that the things you remember when it comes to the people you remember,
right,
and what you remember about them, even 20 years later. But anyway, so Third Strike came out, and actually I remember the very first time Third Strike came out, it was in the arcade, and I played it, and it felt terrible. It felt really, really bad.
Yeah, I had the same experience too. When I first played it, I hated it. I was like,
because when you go from Second Impact to Third Strike, the animations are different, and
the game I was playing at the time, the two games that I was really playing at the time was Alpha 3 and KOF 98, 99, and so those were the games that I was messing with. And then that's kind of why when I first tried Third Strike, I was like, what is this?
But it's like when you play, let's say you play Ken or Sean or whoever, Urian or something in Second Impact, and then you go to Third Strike, and everything just feels different, like very different, because of the way they did the animations. I don't know the details, but I just know when I first played it, everything felt like, bleh. But that's a feeling. I think you get used to it. Anyway, so after I graduated, I got a job in an area called Moore Park, which is in Simi Valley. So I moved up there, and it just so happened, they had family fun in that area. And so, of course, I'm already part of the arcade scene. So I don't remember if I found out about that before I moved there or after or what. But I lucked out. There was a big community there, and Third Strike was just one of the games I played, and we would go there. And I think it took maybe 40 minutes for me to drive there and back, but I went there, a lot, probably multiple times a week, to that arcade and maybe other arcades like James Games. I'm sure we would sometimes drive down to Golfland or whatever. But I met people through there. It's where I met basically all the family fun people. And there's so many games being played, right? So this is just the Third Strike podcast, but Third Strike players are the Third Strike players for the most part. Like I probably say like 90% of Third Strike players only play Third Strike, right? For whatever reason. But then, I also played a bunch of other games, like Alpha 3, CVS 2, CVS 1, whatever, Marvels, whatever other games are coming out at the time. So yeah, so by the time I played in that tournament, I had already played probably a lot of tournaments, relatively speaking. So I was very comfortable. You know what I mean? Probably, what's interesting is it's funny that I don't remember any random tournaments. Well, of course I remember tournaments, but no random tournaments. But I do remember that, like, going back to that Valle thing is the first time I saw Valle. That was like a big moment in my fighting game experience, because that tournament, it was like still a brand new experience to me at the time playing Alpha 3. And I actually remember how I lost in that tournament, which is funny, right?
Now, what game were you playing?
That was Alpha 3. I actually remember how I lost. I was playing against this one guy. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is like, wow, that's Valle. He's the god, yada, 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 right? I don't know who the fuck that guy is, but people are building him up. And yeah, so it's kind of a funny thing to recall, to just think about how much impact your first impressions of the fighting game scene will have on you. I had a very good experience. I had a very good arcade experience, more or less. I made friends. It was always very fun. And then going into the tournament scene, it prepped me for the tournament scene in a way that was like, I already been playing a lot. So, but now I'm going to this tournament with maybe some people, and it's kind of exciting and fun. And I didn't have any bad experiences at the time. Actually, whatever. That's another side story. I will tell you this.
It's okay.
So I told you that I didn't play fighting games until I was in college, basically, right? Mm-hmm. That's a lie, because, and this is a story that I always think is very funny to me, which is I actually played Street Fighter 2 like everybody, but this was back when I was like 11 or 12 or whenever the game came out.
Yeah, and very similar to me, right? Like we would play casually. Right. Street Fighter was everywhere, right?
Yeah, but this is how the story goes for me, okay? Mm-hmm. The reason I didn't really play fighting games until I was in college, potentially, is I remember when I was a kid, I was at my grandma's house and they had a Round Table Pizza next to my grandma's house. So I went.
Shout out to Round Table Pizza.
Yeah, so I love that pizza. Anyway, so they had a Street Fighter 2 machine, and I remember very obviously, your memory is false, not completely correct, but my memory of this is there was this guy in the arcade. He was playing Street Fighter 2, and he was playing Guile, and I was playing Ryu, and I was spending a lot of money trying to beat him. Okay. A lot of money, like however much money, a lot of money is back then when you're a kid. And this is a very specific memory. And I remember I was losing. And finally there was one game where I was like, I got him. Remember, I'm a kid, so I don't even know how I understand the concept of doing special moves or chip damage.
You're just mashing. Anything. You're just mashing, right?
No. But this memory is very specific. So it's either completely false or I was just already better than I would have thought I would be at that age. I had knocked him down, and I was like, all I gotta do is make him block this fireball, and he'll die from chip damage. So how the fuck I knew how to do a fireball, how I knew about chip damage, I don't know, I knew that shit. But I was like, this is it, this is my moment to beat him. And he fucking did wake up flash kick. And so whatever, he hit my arms, and I died, and that was the last game I played. It was probably my last quarter. And after that, I didn't play Street Fighter anymore. I was like devastated. I was like, oh, fuck this fucking game. I didn't play anymore. And maybe that's why I just jumped into X-Men for Street Fighter, 6 years later, because I was like, oh, this is a different game than Street Fighter. Anyway, that's a side story. But that's talking about your initial sort of your initial experiences in the fighting game community.
Yeah.
And often why people don't get into fighting games is because of experiences like that, where they just get their ass beat, or they can't win, and they just get discouraged or whatever. Anyway. That was a total side story. So
no, that's great, man. That's great, dude.
Yeah. So at the time, your first tournament, I guess you could say in a way I was already like at least a veteran of that stuff, and playing multiple games too, right? Multiple tournaments. Because back in the day, these days people only play one tournament, right? They go to Evo. I really feel like that's true for the most part. They're not playing you don't see someone playing Tekken, Street Fighter 5, Marvel 3 or whatever.
I mean, really, the last kind of arcade or big esports player to do that is really Chris G, right? I mean, he's kind of like one of those last few players who would go to an event and he would enter everything because he was just good at fighting games. But going back to your story, man, about how you got into the FGC. So, from what I could gather, so would it be safe to say that it was Viscount who kind of got you into the FGC?
No,
Or
no,
was
I
it,
was
or
no,
was
no,
there
no.
some
It's not
other?
Viscon. I would say that he was just the first sort of like, you know, it's the big fish in the little pond
So you're like
syndrome.
rival, kind of like Viscount was kind of like
Not,
your.
it's
Or,
more just like it opened up my eyes. Like a lot of
oh,
people,
okay.
it's easy to think you're the shit
Mm-hmm.
in a small pond,
Uh-huh.
right? Or you're like, oh, I'm so good, and here comes this new guy, and he just beats me with a shitty
Mm-hmm.
ass character Zangief
Mm-hmm.
that you think like sucks in a versus game, and you're like, what the fuck's going on? And I think I was on the website, but no. So I wouldn't say it's Viscon. Viscon just was like sort of the like initial like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, there's a bigger world.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's do you want to explore that world or do you not want to? Whatever, it's up to
Mm-hmm.
you. But so I wouldn't say it's him. It's just I don't think he like triggered anything and was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I want to go do this because I probably would have done it anyway had I not have met him. It's just a natural sort of progression.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah,
But that's kind of what I meant, right? Like, because back in those days, right, no one recruited you. You know what I
no,
mean?
there's no,
Like,
there's no.
no one, like. In fact, when I think about it, like my experience is pretty unique. For Yi to kind of turn around and go, "Hey, go to this place." Like, no one really. I mean, and people who grew
I
up
don't
in the
think so.
arcade era, you kind of they can understand this. When you go to the arcade, like it's just not. It wasn't the same. Not like in today's FGC. Back in those days, it wasn't really. I don't want to say I don't want to make it seem like arcades were an unfriendly place to be in, right? But it was definitely a different vibe, right? Like it wasn't like people weren't very pushy or people didn't like, hey man, why don't you enter this tournament? Like, I guess
Yeah, well, I think probably not. I mean, I'm sure every arcade was different, every community was different,
because you said
but
it, you admitted
I
it
think
yourself, right? You don't even remember how you started playing tournaments.
yeah, no, I don't remember, but I
Mm-hmm.
do think that no one was definitely not. I don't think there was a lot of advertising for it or recruitment for it or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there might have been. Like I said, there was websites back then, so maybe that's how I found out about tournaments. But as far as the actual like, the FGC gets sometimes gets a bad rap for being unfriendly
Mm-hmm.
or like mean or whatever, and I think it's exactly the opposite of that.
Mm-hmm.
But the nature of the genre is very like competitive and it's 1v1, so people learn to become, or not obviously learn, but like it's you have a certain a vibe of like individual strength or whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it.
No, it's
And
competition. Yeah.
it's competition, but it's competition. It's like single player competition.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so, of course, naturally, I think, especially when you're young, it's cliques are going to form, right? Of like skill levels.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's true in probably anything, but it's especially true in the arcade scene. I think, and so that can come off as being unfriendly.
Mm-hmm.
But when I think most people I met in the fighting game community, they're just like anybody else. They're nice. There's some nice people. There's some mean people. But in general, they're happy to talk about stuff with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm usually, but it can come off as being like mean because in the moment people are mean.
Well, yeah, because we're competing.
They're competing. They're saying shit to each other.
Yeah.
Oftentimes mean shit, but it's never usually. At least back then, it was never taken super seriously. It was never taken in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
Usually not. Usually not.
Usually
not. Yeah, usually not. It's under. Yeah, like so the arcade scene is very different because it's people just talk a lot of shit and you just don't it just sort of it's like water off of whatever the phrase is.
Uh-huh.
It's very, and it can seem very mean, but it's actually not like that because at the end of the day everybody goes to Denny's and they all eat and have fun and talk shit to each other.
Dude, I totally agree with you. That idea that like the FGC is unfriendly, like to me, and this is something that I kind of recognize right away. Like the fact that sort of like kind of what you were explaining, right? The environment of the FGC, at least the old school arcade FGC, was really determined by its competitive nature, and so that's
by skill. Skill is the most important thing.
And to me, that actually made the FGC, more welcoming in the sense that, like, it didn't really I mean, obviously, you have people you gravitate towards, maybe people that you would consider friends more than acquaintance, stuff like that. But for the most
Mhm.
part, at least from my experience, like it didn't matter what your skin color was. It didn't matter like
No, I don't
what
get care.
It didn't matter what you wore. It didn't matter anything that shit. And like that's kind of the
No.
stuff. That's a lot of those things that like a lot of people, at least back in my day, that's what kind of led them to the arcade, right? Because it was in a weird way, it was a no judgment zone except your skill. You know what I mean,
Yeah,
right?
that could
Like it
be.
was.
Yeah, that could be true. That could. I like. I mean, I'm not gonna pretend like people obviously maybe outside of
Oh no, of
you when you're
course,
just
everyone's
playing,
gonna.
they'll talk shit about
Yeah.
people. They have their own perspectives on life and everything. You know what I mean? But you are correct. In the arcade, if one person knew the other person was there to play the game and get good at the game and show dedication to the game, then you instantly gave them respect. And so you would, at least this is how I viewed it and how I think most people viewed it, which is like you respect each other because of the game, and you know that you're there to you can be there obviously to make friends and all that stuff. But if you like the game and you're there to get good or at least enjoy the game, then you just automatically it doesn't. I don't care anymore. At that moment, I care nothing else about you,
Uh-huh.
and I respect you because of that.
Mhm.
And this is going to sound mean. I probably shouldn't say this because this is
No, 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 it's
live.
okay. Go ahead, man.
When I felt that people were there, I don't think I'd be very good for today's scene. Because when I felt that people were there to
And that they weren't
like
serious about the game.
get attention,
Uh-huh.
get attention for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
I would fucking beat them down
Mm-hmm.
like hardcore. I didn't care who they were. You know what I mean?
But that's
So
that's what I was talking about before we aired, man. That's why I feel like, I wish, like looking back on it, and of course, right, like back in the arcade days, not everyone put in the work and dedication and the time to get good at a game. And it was for a variety of reasons, right? Like no one knows, maybe you had other priorities, maybe you had work, maybe you just like to go to tournaments, but you didn't like, you had a certain, like you every person knows, whether it's subconsciously or consciously, like how much effort you're going to put into something, you know what I mean? And so like obviously every player has a different sort of level of commitment to getting good at the game. And you're totally right. I totally agree with you. It may come off as kind of dickish, but like looking back on it, I understood kind of why, like just for myself, right? Like I understood why like the people treated me the way they treated me, like back in like the arcade days, right? And it wasn't really anything personal. It was just they recognized at the time that the level at that point, right, the level of commitment that I had to the game did not meet their level. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean,
And
I'm not even gonna go that far. It's okay that if you're there, at least for me personally, maybe some people will take it differently, but for me personally, if as long as you're there because you enjoy playing, then I enjoy playing with you, if that makes sense.
But that's the
Right?
thing, Ed.
And
Like
and
if we're
at that point, it's a very open, it's a very welcoming.
yeah.
Like then to me, it's like I welcome you to the here
Mm-hmm.
because you're here to play. That you're here to play, and you want to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you really want to get good. That's not that important to me. So I actually now I recall you saying that you had kind of some bad experiences back then.
Well, I mean, not bad
Like
experiences, but I just, like as far as what I'm comfortable to mention on the podcast, like I can kind of, like I was telling you before the podcast, man. Like the more and more like that I continue to stick with this game and sort of be part of this game. Like the more and more I want to apologize to like everyone that I played back in those Family Fun days, like,
yeah,
dude, like I wasted so much time. I wasted so many people's time. That's kind of like how I was kind of like how I've been kind of recently thinking about.
that's how you see it. Yeah, like I get that. I get that understanding. I don't think that that's probably the best. Not for you, but if somebody, it's one thing to say like, okay, hey, okay, so like, again, I felt like if you were disrespecting the game and you were there for like other reasons that were like purely selfish, which is really stupid, right? Because in the end, we're all just there to play games and have fun and this. But if I felt like you were there to like try and use the game for other means, I was like, yeah, fuck you, get out of here. Which it's a stupid, it's a kind of a weird statement. You're like, what are you talking about? But if you just if you were there to play the game and enjoy it on whatever level you wanted to enjoy it on, that's cool. Now, of course, I think all top players have egos. That's been my experience, right? Because you're competitive. I can think of maybe like 5 really, really good players that I know of that I feel like they don't have. I mean, I haven't met that many, but I haven't met, especially these days. I don't know how many there are. There's so many. Back in, like every single really good player had like big egos, right? They hated to lose. And of course, when you're younger, you have, you're probably gonna like you're gonna get ego, and you're gonna feel like, well, here's my clique, and these are the people that deserve, quote unquote, deserve talk to me. And maybe that's probably going too far. But as long as they still respect you as a player, I still think that keeps that's like even if you're not good, that keeps the community, open. It makes it feel welcoming because it's. I mean, maybe you can even think of it as something to aspire to, like you're trying to get that good or whatever,
And so let's
anyway.
let's stay on that topic then, Ed. Like, so you moved to Moore Park, right? And you learn about Family Fun Arcade and you start going there. So tell me, how did you start sort of really devoting some time to Third Strike? Like, how did that?
So
was it just a matter of like, hey, that's the big game there? I want to compete.
I think that yeah. So up until Street Fighter 4, every other game I played was a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean is, like I played it because I enjoyed it, but I didn't take it super seriously. And so when you say like, how did I really get into Third Strike? I don't really even think I really got into Third Strike any more than I got into any other game.
Mm.
So I was as much into Third Strike as I was into Marvel, as I was into CVS2, maybe less. I don't know. Who knows? Or as in like whatever Alpha 3, whatever other games I may have played. And the reason is really there was just a big Third Strike community there.
Mm-hmm.
Like people played the game. There was a big but there was also people who played CVS2. SoCal just had a big fighting game community overall. So you could go to different areas, play different games.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Third Strike I just lucked out. Third Strike had a huge community back then, and I do think that at the time, SoCal and that specific area was one of the rebirths, the center points of American Third Strike. I think so anyway. Like maybe Texas had, I know Texas had a thing, and maybe New York had a thing, but I don't think it was as far along developed as SoCal became.
Mm-hmm. So tell me
I could be wrong about this, but
so tell me about like kind of like, I know you said that when you first played Third Strike, you didn't really enjoy it, but what are some of the are there certain stories you remember like from really early on when you first went there and you started going, maybe I should start entering Third Strike tournaments because a lot of people are playing it. Like do you remember like maybe some players that like you automatically were like, oh wow, these are like really good players?
I think that's a good question. Well, here's what I'll say is that if I compare Third Strike to some other games that I played, I think I probably spent less time learning Third Strike like on my own than any other game. Third Strike I just kind of just played. And I think I just really liked the people in that community. I liked Vic, I liked the Chins, I liked Yi, I liked you. Obviously, we were friends back then. And so I think maybe I played it. I like Ken I like John. Those are all really interesting people. And so I think maybe I just enjoy playing because of the people as much as the game. I don't, you know what I mean? And I did have, as much as I shit on the game, I do have fun playing it. It's just, it can be very frustrating at times for my style of play. So me entering tournaments is like, again, it's just like a natural thing to do. You're at the arcade, you're going there on the weekend anyway to hang out, and then there's an arcade or tournament running, and I'm in my 20s and I'm playing other tournaments. So like, of course I'm going to enter this. And so it wasn't any particular moment or any particular person or anything that made me like want to enter Third Strike tournaments. It's just a natural progression. If I have, my memory of Third Strike is in a way, I guess you could say it's in a bit. It's not negative, but it's like I just remember so many times where I'm like, oh, I got red parried and I died, or I tried to do this thing and I died, and I'm like, and I'm like, I always think to myself, well, what did I do wrong here? And I can never answer that. Like I really can't. I have no answer to that question because the answer to that question is like, well, I guess you just shouldn't have hit a button.
Yeah, that's it, and that's what makes Third Strike at the same time so riveting and infuriating at the same time because it's almost like at the same time it's almost like the anti-Street Fighter.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, it could have been like you maybe you shouldn't have hit that button. You could have hit this button and you would have won instead. And that answer to me is always very unsatisfying. I never really like that answer. It's just like a shitty answer to me. But I have a lot of good memories of the game, and it's mostly it's less about the game than it is about the people. Like I remember going to tournaments with the Third Strike players. Like my best actual like really, if I think about it, in terms of like gameplay, I think my only really like strong memory of Third Strike is me getting top 8 at Evo. And it's less about the actual top 8 Evo match because I lost to fucking Agent Hitler and I just whatever, I suck. But it's that that was a good memory because I remember I played the game in the best Third Strike I ever played, I think, in my life at that tournament. And I just remember, I think maybe I was playing it in the way that it was meant to be played or something. I don't remember. But in general, I don't have any particularly strong memories about the game. As silly as that sounds, maybe because I played it for so long. Whereas I'll have strong memories about other games.
Interesting. So, well, let's talk a little bit about your character selection, because when you at the point where you started to get serious about Third Strike at Family, you had already been accustomed to playing other fighting games. You've entered in other tournaments for other fighting games, and so. What was your mindset, choosing Ken? Was he what was it? What was it about Ken, if you can remember? Like, because I started with Ken.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
And back in the day, right? Like, what did people say back in the day, right? Like, Asian people, right? Chinese people use Ken, or what I'm saying? Like at least when I was from, right? Like, I lived in Monterey Park, and like, what kind of weird stereotype is that? I don't know what, but all the Asians use Ken. I don't know why, but like
all the Asians use the half white, half Japanese guy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, those Chinese people, those half white, half Asian people. What? Why did I don't know, dude. That's a very good question. Why did I play Ken? Fuck, I don't remember. Maybe because he was the easiest to use, he was like
he was pretty
easy. Shoto. He's a Shoto, so let me think. It could have been because I didn't play Ken in like Alpha. I played Guy and Karen in Alpha 3. I didn't play at least.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. Like, had you used Ken before? That's what
in CVS 1. I didn't play Ken. Did CVS 2 come out before Third Strike?
No, I don't remember. CVS 2,
but even
2001.
In CVS 2, when it came out, eventually I settled on I did play Ken on my team, but CVS 2 there's so many characters, so you play a Elvira. I really don't know why. I have no idea. I wish I could tell you why I played Ken in Third Strike. I do remember I made a post saying that I think that Ken takes the most skill to play, and to this day I believe it.
Okay.
To this day, it was a kind of a joke post, but I still actually believe that.
I remember that SRK post.
Yeah. It was like a half joke post, but it was also like half real. And maybe I just thought that like Ken he fits the style of gameplay I like the most, and that I think he requires the most footsie play or something. I don't remember. Could have been that. It could have just been something random. Like I just randomly picked him the first time I played him. I played the game. I don't remember. It's a good question. Because here's the thing. In Second Impact, I didn't. Okay, yes. Second Impact, I played Sean. I guess I played Ken to a certain degree, but I played a lot of characters in Second Impact, so it wasn't anything from Second Impact that led me to him. Yeah, I don't have an answer, dude. Why did you play Necro?
Well, I mean, I've said this story in previous podcasts. It was because of Paul. It was because of Paul Lee.
Paul Lee?
Yeah, because one random, Camelot Golfland tournament, he decided to use Necro. And I think he won or either got second. And the whole night he was like, yeah, all you need to do is get one reverse throw and guess right once and I win the round. And I'm like, and like, now that I retell that story again, I think the reason why that moment for me was so eye-opening, because, when I first started playing, like I had no idea. Like I didn't know how to play a fighting game. I remember distinctly one day, I was dating someone who was going to Cal Poly Pomona, and guys like Hung and Gutex, and Gutex at the time wasn't even part of the FGC, or was just getting started playing the game. He was just known as the random guy that it would dash grab, right? At Cal Poly Pomona. Okay. But Hung and all the people from Cobra Kai, Watson and them, they
I still talk to Hung, by the way.
Yeah. And they would go to Cal Poly Pomona, and I distinctly remember one day. I'll never forget, like Hung kind of set me aside and like, dude, like I can like teach you how to like actually play the game if you want me to.
He's a nice guy, dude.
Like
But that sounds like
really...
something he would do.
And,
I mean, really, that sounds like something he would do. He's very nice.
Yeah, and obviously at the time I kind of blew him off because kind of like for all the reasons you talked about before, right? We're in our 20s, super competitive, you know, a lot of pride and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
But then, like, really it was that, and then when Paul used Necro, because the reason why that moment was so eye-opening for me is that up until that point, you know, I just pressed buttons, man. I didn't have a plan. I had no understanding of like strategy or fucking like, you know, neutral and shit like that. Like I didn't know any of that. And then, but that night when Paul used Necro, like the thing he opened up to me is like a plan, right? Oh, a plan. Like,
yeah.
You know,
and my character good at.
Yeah, and to this day, it sounds like simple, right? Like to this day, when I use Necro, my plan is to stun you. You know, that's always going to be my plan. It's just how do I achieve that, right? Like how do I get there? And that's kind of where, you know, you develop your game. But like just the idea of having a game plan. You know, like that was so foreign to me until like Paul used Necro and he was like, yeah, all you gotta do is grab into the corner, throw into the corner, and then get a good guess and you win the round. Cause like what that kind of, what that taught me was like, okay, character strengths, like what is the, you know, what's good about the character? How does a certain character win? How does that affect the opponent? Right, and how they react to the character. Like if they know the game, they know that that's the game plan, and that's kind of how the meta starts, right? Like that's where it all opened up to me. But before then, I didn't know shit, dude. I you know, some people might say I don't know shit now, but like, you know, I really didn't know shit back then. Like I just was a masher. I played fighting games like I would play any kind of beat 'em up, like Final Fight or Turtles or whatever, you know.
And maybe that's why I played someone like Ken or something, because. No, it's because I don't. Maybe because he's an all-round character, and so you don't. It's not like you're like I have to do this or I don't win the game. You know, it's not like it's like you can play neutral if you want, you can rush down if you want, you can run away if you want. Your combos are flexible. It's flexible anyways as that game can be. So maybe that's why I picked Ken, just because he's just an all-around character. So I mean that's a hard concept for a lot of players. Is just like understanding that one that you know you should think about your character and their character strengths, and two that you're playing a 2-player game and that the other person is reacting to you and you have to modify your strategy, your base strategy afterwards, right? Yeah, like you have to based on what they're doing. So that's a very hard concept for most players.
Yeah, and I definitely didn't grasp it when I first started playing Third Strike. But you know, back to the Ken thing, man. Like when you started playing Third Strike competitively and you chose Ken, and I've name dropped Paul numerous times in the podcast. At some point, maybe I'll reach out to him, and it's weird. It's a weird thing, right? Like, cause like I almost feel like I don't know, like I almost feel like in awe of Paul, you know. I don't know why, but like I'm just I don't know.
Well, I mean, he's the one who got you on Necro.
Yeah, so, but the thing is, like, I mean, like if there was
one inspiration,
but if there was one player that I kind of played or like quote unquote grinded with, like I don't even like using that word because it suggests that like, you know, you and a bunch of players decided to like go to this one place and just play Third Strike a lot to make each other better. That's not how it was in the arcade, right? You went in and you just spent your money.
I think
maybe a better way to put it.
I think some people are like that.
Yeah, but I think a better way to put it is probably the person that I spent the most money playing back in those early days was Paulie.
Wow, really? What arcade?
It was Southern Hills, and then it was at Golfland. For a little while, you know, the Golfland kind of the core Golfland Third Strike crew was basically sort of Paulie, Kenai, Ghetto D. Shout outs to Don.
Yeah,
Don Sneddon. Hung would show up sometimes. Mike Burke, remember Hugo player Mike Burke?
Yeah, I remember him.
Mike Burke, and then me and Marvin would show up, you know, every now and then.
Okay, yeah, that's a completely different group than the family group.
Yeah,
right.
And so, like going back to my question, it's a good thing I remembered it. Like when you started playing Ken competitively, had you found out about Poly before? Because like when I think about Ken,
No,
SoCal Ken, I only really think about like two players in terms of like the like the first two players to be like somewhat known for using Ken,
no, I
and that's
don't.
yourself and Paul Lee. Like like when did you first kind of like meet Paul, and do you remember that or?
I no, I
Because
don't.
you
And I
guys had some
also,
pretty intense mirror matches back in the day in some of these
I
random
guess,
tournaments.
I guess I never viewed it like that at
Mhm,
all. And I think if you ask me that question, well, so again, I think Third Strike. First of all, I never really thought I was that good at that game. I don't think. Well, in retrospect, I can say that. Maybe back then I felt like I was really good, but again, I just kind of viewed the game as a hobby. So I didn't. I wasn't. It wasn't like on the weekend I was like looking at all the potential players that I'm gonna have to play against on Third Strike. Right. It was more just like I go to the arcade, I play, and then after I'm done, I don't even think about the game really that much anymore. At least Third Strike anyway. And then maybe I'll talk to whoever just for fun. But and we'll go have dinner or something. But it wasn't that serious. I didn't take it seriously. So like if you ask me, oh, what did you think about such and such player? Or were you worried about him, or did you get in when you had go into a
mhm,
tournament? Like, I can't recall really
mhm,
thinking that about that game.
mhm,
Um, in terms of like rivals or whatever. I mean, obviously there were players that I just knew were better than me.
mhm,
Right? Like I did not want to play a mirror near the like the later stages. That's
mhm,
probably one of the reasons why I really liked Evo the year I got top 8 in Evo is because I beat the shit out of Amir like bad and not in a like a not in like
And
a
that was 2007, right?
I don't even remember.
That was the
Yeah.
last year that Third Strike was a singles game at Evo. The very
Oh
next year,
yeah.
it became 2v2, and then they dropped it completely. I think.
Yeah, but so like there was obviously players that I just didn't want to play. Like I was like worried about. Like I was like, oh, if I play against them, I'm probably gonna lose.
Mhm,
That was a lot of them actually. But yeah, I just I didn't I didn't have any. I don't think I had any rivalries or any sort of bad. I
mhm,
had no bad. I don't think I did anyway. Like bad sort of relationships with anybody in the Third Strike community. It was
mhm,
just. That's why I enjoyed the people in the
yeah,
community. And like Paul, I wasn't really good friends. I didn't really know him that well, right? Because
mhm.
again, it's Golfland, separate communities. Like
But I'm sure
he
you
didn't shit.
guys,
He didn't talk to family too much or anything.
but I'm sure you guys from time to time would kind of talk a little bit about Ken, right? Like maybe,
I don't think so, dude.
really?
Really,
Wow. Okay.
I really didn't. See, here's the thing. When I tell you that I was bad at that game, what I mean is I didn't really spend a lot of time studying
Uh-huh.
the game.
Uh-huh.
Like I spent more time looking. I really spent more time looking at like even when I was younger, I spent more time looking at CVS 2,
Uh-huh.
Even Alpha 3,
Mhm.
Marvel. Those games I actually like spent time learning. And for whatever reason, I just did not spend any time outside of actually playing in the arcade learning Third Strike. And part of that's probably just because there was no good console port. If
Mhm.
there was a good console port, I might have spent more time doing it.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
like I wasn't that interested in learning the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, back to
At
that
least
console point, the point you made about consoles. Like, what was our first port, right? Dreamcast, and
yeah,
we all know what Dreamcast was like.
that was a bad port, right? I don't even recall. Was there a good port ever has there ever been a good port of Third
Well,
Strike?
I mean
With PlayStation?
that's obviously a very subjective question.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I personally did not mind PS2 Third Strike, man. Like as far as like
I heard that one was okay.
playing it offline. I mean, it was a little bit faster, but like you have time to adjust, maybe, or I don't know. But
Yeah. What I will say about the Third Strike community is there was a bunch of really cool people
mhm.
in that particular community. I
Well,
mean, I can
who
name
were some of the players that you like genuinely enjoyed playing? Like
in the game.
yeah, like no, like players, like
Just people I
competitors.
liked,
No,
like
like people
as
you
competitors or
enjoyed.
as friends.
Uh, Both, or mainly as competitors. Like who did you
Oh,
always
okay.
enjoy playing? Like have a good time playing.
I always like playing Hung.
Mm-hmm. Hung B, shout outs
Even
Hung
though
B, Oro,
and
SoCal player.
even to this day, I enjoy playing him because actually I
Mm-hmm.
play him in Grand Blue now a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because it's just we embrace the stupidity and we just have fun and we don't really
Mm-hmm.
care about the outcome. Um, I liked playing. It's a good question, dude. I mean, this is gonna sound. I enjoyed playing mini players
Uh-huh.
until Perry made me not enjoy playing.
Mm.
If
Interesting.
that makes sense,
Okay.
because I really did not. as the game went on, and as I got whatever, as I played the game more, and as players got better at the game more, I just never really liked the parry mechanic. And so I enjoyed playing most everybody, but I did not enjoy it. The experience would be downgraded by how parry works in the game, right? And I think you can think of no one better than Frankie, right? So Frankie is the ultimate like master.
Dude,
tell
the viewers, man, because like I don't think some of the younger viewers, and many of them don't really know about Frankie 3S, the original Frankie 3S. But tell them.
By the way, is this current Frankie, dude? Is he just naming himself after the old Frankie?
Okay,
3S?
so the current Frankie BFG, he didn't even give himself that name. A commentator just kind of, I think at some random tournament, a commentator just kind of, added those, the number and the letter, and then it became like a big, source of confusion. Like, wait, I thought Frankie 3S was the Denjin player. Why is he a Ken player?
Yeah.
So it's funny because Frankie didn't even give himself the name, and so he finally decided a few years ago, you know what, fuck this, I'm just gonna give myself a new acronym, and so he's known as Frankie BFG now.
Oh, okay, so, that's funny. Does he even know Frankie? Does he even know
man,
Frankie
dude, Frankie BFG is a student of the Third Strike game, history, game, everything. He knows you. Right. I know so before the podcast, right? You were saying like nobody knows me in the Third Strike scene. Like now, nobody knows who I am. You'd be
Frankie 3S was the epitome. Frankie A is the epitome of Third Strike. At least, and B, he plays a character with a super that is the epitome of Third Strike.
Do you remember when Rockefeller used to do commentary, right? He would always say the same thing. Like if you happen to knock Frankie down, remember what Rockefeller would always say? He was like, don't. He would always say, yeah, right. Don't press buttons. Don't test him. Don't.
Dude, that guy, I swear to God, of course, wrong impression, my wrong memory, I'm sure it's not completely correct, is I couldn't touch the guy. I couldn't hit him on his wake up. He guessed right everything.
Yeah, he did. He guessed right every time.
I go high, I go low. It doesn't fucking matter.
It doesn't matter.
Every single goddamn time. So I was like, whatever, fuck this game. It's just I don't want to play against you. It's fun playing against him because he's a funny guy. He's really cool and he's super laid back and all that shit. But, like, I seriously cannot attack you. It's so ridiculous.
I have to let you get up, and I'm like, when I would play him, if I haven't knocked him down, at some point I would just eventually just dash back in the other side of the screen. I don't want any part of him on his wake up.
The funny thing about him is that you could anti-air uppercut him.
Yeah,
that was the funny thing, because I don't know, you could I could always anti-air. He would jump, and I would anti-air him really, really deep because he's always going for the deep jump fierce. Like he'll always go for the super deep jump fierce. So he'll parry, and then like near the end he'll go jump fierce or whatever the fuck. So like he'll always get hit by the first 3-4 anti-air uppercuts, almost like resigned to it. And then he'll be like, all right, fine, I guess I have to fucking parry your stupid uppercut or whatever. But anyway, whereas everybody else try to uppercut them, they'll fucking parry you every single time. It's anti-air. But yeah, so he's the epitome of like the game and like sort of my sort of that part of the negative experience of the game for me, which is like, I don't understand this game. Like, how do I play it? I don't get it. And then he picked Denja, which of course is the fucking the symbol for Third Strike. Just like, well, you parry this or you die. What a stupid super. Anyway. Anyway. But he was really cool. So what was the question? I don't remember anymore.
Oh, just players you enjoyed playing. But since we're on the topic of Frankie, there's some other players that maybe some Third Strike, some newer
Vic.
Third Strike.
I like Vic.
Yeah. So that was the next person I wanted to ask you, because to me, when I first
he didn't take any risks.
Yeah. He was super safe.
He was like a solid. I don't want to, because every single Dudley player in this fucking world, in the world of Third Strike, will just jump nonstop. Right? They'll just fucking jump. I don't care. Jump. They don't give a fuck. Because why won't they? Of course they will. But he was one of the few Dudley players that was like, I'm going to play a ground game. I'm going to play very strong defense. And I'm going to, just play Street Fighter with you. But he would parry as well. So I enjoyed playing him a lot. Which is probably why I could do okay against him. Whereas like any other random Dudley, I'd probably lose because they're just jumping all fucking day.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna talk a little bit more about this later, but since we're on the topic of Vic, because you mentioned so far you mentioned Frankie and you mentioned Vic, and I remember when I first came into the scene, to me, like from what I had heard from other players, it was Frankie and it was Vic, but the person that really dominated, especially in those super early years, or like who was really
All
good,
right.
not just in Third Strike, but just in fighting games in general, I think,
Mm.
was Geo. I don't think a lot of
Right,
people
right,
really remember Geo a lot. Tell me a little bit about Geo
right.
and what do you
so
know and remember from him, man?
So
Because
Gio is George. He's part of Team Run,
hmm
which of course is Combo Fiend and a bunch of other really good players like Chaotic Blue,
yeah,
who you may not know because they mostly play like Guilty or whatever. But there's a bunch like ID. There's like a bunch of really really good players in Team Run, and he was part of Team Run. But I mean, I'm not intimate with them at all. But like, yeah, and he was. I actually didn't play him that much in Third Strike, but from what I know, I actually played him more in CVS two, and he also dominated CVS two in the early years, from what I recall. And I remember there was one of the first big Southern Hill Golfland tournaments um, for CVS two, and all the like a bunch of NorCal guys came down, like Choi and all these people, and he just beat all of them. From what I don't remember the exact details, but he played P Groove, and he just scraped everybody in the tournament. So he was really good. And from what I recall in Third Strike, like he was beating everybody at the time too. Like he was beating. Like I probably should have watched his matches versus Frankie just to see like how the fuck he can attack this guy. Does he play Yang? I think at the time, if I recall correctly. Anyway, he was just. I never really got to know him very well, but clearly he understood fighting games very well because he dominated two games, quite strongly for a little bit, and then one day he just disappeared.
yeah,
Like apparently from what I recall, it was something about like he had to work somewhere and he just retired. He's like, I gotta go make money or something. And he literally just disappeared. He never showed up ever again.
yeah. From what I remember, it was super abrupt. Like he was showing up to tournaments. He even showed up. Do you remember that one UC Irvine tournament that I ran? It probably was the first tournament I ever ran, or the first tournament I ever helped organize. I ran a Third
Okay.
Strike tournament at the Zot Zone in UC Irvine. You were there.
Okay.
Paulie was there, and Gio was there. I think there's still footage of it. But yeah, man, like I remember that time when he just kind of he was really grinding. He was playing everything, and then just like that, he just kind of stopped. And
He literally disappeared. I remember asking Peter about it, or Combo Fiend, or somebody, and they're just like, "Yeah, we don't know. He just said he has to go work at a library or something." I don't even remember. And that was the last I heard of him. Like, some people they say they retire, and then they're next month they're playing again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I retired in 2000. I retired, quote unquote, retired, and I really did. I pretty basically just stopped. Like I still play, but I don't go to tournaments anymore for the most part.
It's like
He just like fucking he just disappeared.
Yeah.
He doesn't show up to anything.
Yeah.
Like he's just gone. I don't like. I'd actually be curious to ask like the Team Run guys. Like, have you heard anything about him? Because man, he just disappeared. It's crazy.
Do you remember? I mean, obviously, like you were saying, Geo was very dominant in both Third Strike and CVS two. But do you remember what made him so good? Because like I have I don't have I probably don't have as many memories about because I don't think I've seen Geo play as much as you have probably.
Well, okay. So one thing I think is so. So here's one thing I think is that we were probably just bad. That's probably one possible reason. Is he's good, and it's easy to be good when you're maybe he understood the game at a level and he played it in a way that nobody else was playing it, or very other few people were playing it, and when you can do that, you just automatically are like light years ahead of everybody else. You know what I mean? Like if you take yourself now, I don't know. I don't know how far along the 3S scene has developed or whatever, right? But I'm guessing that if you took yourself now and you put yourself back then 10 years ago, you may not you're much better at the game now because you understand it in a way that you didn't understand it, and probably very few people understood it back then, or at least if they understood it, they weren't actually playing in that way. So it's possible that Gio just understood the game in a way that nobody else played it. You know what I mean? And the reason I say that, I think that's very possible. But who knows? I never had any deep strategic conversations with him about it. I beat him in one CVS2 tournament. I was so happy. I beat him in the finals of one CVS2 tournament at Family Fun, and I fucking counter grooved him, right? I'm A groove and he's P groove,
Uh-huh.
so I'm already like counter charactering him. But
Mhm.
like, I was very excited about that. I was like, yeah, I fucking won. But yeah, he was really good.
You know, Ed,
Um,
you might be onto something though about the idea that maybe Geo was just light years ahead of everyone, because I remember from the some of the very few memories I have of Geo is I would notice that when he would play casuals, he'd play a lot, like he would play a lot of the characters
played a lot of
when
characters.
he
Yeah, I
would play a
remember.
Third Strike, and to me
Yeah, I
that's
remember.
kind of like back in those days, because obviously you had to pay to play, and you had to wait and all that stuff. Like,
Mhm.
we were, most of us kind of stuck to our mains, right? You know,
Yeah,
until
yeah,
until after the drinking. After the drinking, after
yeah.
the drinking, then it gets a little more fun. But even Geo, man, like he would, even in tournaments, he'd use different characters, and like he would just
Yeah,
like,
I think so. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I think that's very likely explanation for why. I mean,
because he can't rely on
it only
us,
makes
right?
sense.
He can't rely on
It only
us
makes
to learn the matchups, right?
yeah.
Because like you said, like he's light years ahead of us. So
It's
maybe he can't
possible,
rely
right?
on,
Yeah,
I don't know.
and it might not even be light years. It just might be like he understood a couple things about the
Yeah,
game,
yeah, yeah.
and it's like, well, okay, like if I concentrate on these aspects of the game,
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to beat you because you're not even playing that part of the game, and so I'm just
Mm-hmm.
shutting out your I'm just shutting that part of the game down. I have no idea. You can probably think about it now, like now that the Third Strike community has developed a lot more, and maybe you can just compare how it's being played now versus
Mm-hmm.
how it was back then, and you can think like, oh, maybe Gio was playing like this or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but the reason I think that this is very likely is because you know um, I doubt that he was necessarily a better Street Fighter player, like by leagues of everybody else, or
Mm-hmm.
better fighting game player, right? Like, of course, some people are just naturally better than others, and
Mm-hmm.
all this. But the reason, like, okay, so the reason I think this is probably true is because, like, okay, like this is gonna sound mean, but I'll follow it up with a thing, a self derogatory thing.
Okay.
So
The option
This
select.
can't
Okay.
yeah, right. So Viscant won. He's a very good player, and I respect the guy a lot. He's very, very knowledgeable.
Evo champion.
But he's not the best tournament player in the world, and he's definitely not like the what you consider like the guy that you can depend on to win or whatever, right? But I'm not talking. It's just he's very, very good. But he won the first year of Marvel 3, and without me even knowing Marvel 3 very well, I bet that he's a very intelligent player.
Mm-hmm.
So when that game came out, he probably analyzed the shit out of that game
Mm-hmm.
and figured out really like what is this way I want to play this game,
Mm-hmm.
and play it very well. And I think he probably did that. And he's very capable of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most players don't do that shit. So the first year of a game is the year that you can really do that the easiest.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet that's what happened the first year, which is why he won Evo, because he probably was just ahead of everybody else, ahead of the curve.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is he was just ahead of the curve,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm gonna follow again. I'm gonna follow up with self derogatory. When Street Fighter 4 came out, I that was my sort of that was how my approach to the game. My approach to the game was like, I'm gonna learn this game from day one.
From the
I'm
ground.
not gonna
Yeah.
waste. I'm not gonna waste any fucking time. Every time I play this game, I'm going to be learning how I'm supposed to play this game. And so I think that in the first year of Street Fighter 4, this is obviously like, okay, so I said self derogatory, but it will end up being like that. I think that I was like easily top 3 in the US for first year. Okay, first year. And that's not because I'm a better Street Fighter player than anybody or anything like that. It's because I studied the game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I just knew way more about the game than probably almost anybody else in the US because for a variety of reasons, but because I really put my time into it. So when you go back to Geo, so I actually don't think I'm like.
I don't want to.
So when you go back to Geo, I think that he was probably maybe it's very likely that he was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he just understood, like, okay, well, this is the way parry works. This is how I'm supposed to be spacing myself or whatever. And so, bam, I'm already like strategically way ahead of you in the game.
Yeah. But from what I remember, right, like when Geo would play, he didn't over rely on the parry.
I don't know, dude. That's why I don't remember.
I don't remember him really over relying on the parry. But anyway,
well, maybe he learned how to play around parry.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like you said, right now you play defensively, and now it's like you don't try to. You're saying that like the way it's played now is
Well,
maybe he understood options like pairing
yeah.
already before
Yeah,
other people
yeah, like
or
I was
something, you
saying,
know?
hmm yeah, like I was saying, like, sort of the emphasis really, at least, for me is efficiency, right? How do you, how can you be as efficient as possible?
I think he was very efficient. When
Yeah,
I watched him play, I felt like there was no wasted anything on his
exactly.
end.
And in a
You know
game,
what I mean?
especially like Third Strike,
He wasn't just
yeah,
doing shit for no reason.
yes,
I felt
yes,
like when I watched him play, he was very methodical and intelligent.
hmm
He wasn't just like, I'm just going to dash and do something, or I'm going to
hmm
wake up parry here, or whatever, or I'm just going to jump for no reason.
hmm
So at least that's the feeling I got from watching him play. And this is like memories.
hmm
So yeah, I do think that he understood how to play the game
hmm
better than most other people, basically.
yeah.
So, theory, who knows?
Well,
Maybe you can get him on the. Maybe you can ask him one day.
yeah, I think that's a little above my pay grade, but
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
if this happens to reach anyone that maybe knows Geo, shout outs to Geo. We remember how godlike you were back in the day. And so, let's switch let's switch gears a little bit, man. Let's talk a little bit about Evo. Obviously with the coronavirus sort of putting a halt on, almost every social gathering. Evo has announced a few days ago that they're going to go online and that they're going to be featuring some games with I guess netcode, GGPO netcode or whatever. But and you were saying, right, you still go to Evo every year, but do you remember? Talk to me a little bit about your Evo history. Like, what's the first Evo you went to? You
First
know?
Evo I went to was before it was called Evo.
Okay, so
I
you
think it was
were
B4,
B5 or B4
B5. I
or
think it was
something.
B5. I forget which one it was, and
Yeah.
that was up actually in NorCal.
Uh,
And I think there's a documentary out
yeah.
on that talks about it, or like some story about it. Actually, you can see me in one of the
Okay.
shots of
Okay.
in one of somewhere in that video. So, and that was like during the days of I think CVS one.
hmm
But then after that, I don't remember now. Did it become Evo right after that year, or was it still called something else before it went to Vegas? Gosh, I've been going to Evo for
Since the
close to
beginning.
20 years. You know what I
Wow.
mean? So it's like it's hard for me to remember.
Have you been to every Evo?
I've actually no, I missed two Evos
Okay.
early on in my career because of work.
hmm
And I actually missed the Daigo Perry Evo, so that
I
sucks.
remember that because I was there.
I would have been nice to see that. I missed that Evo that year.
Yeah.
I think I missed that one anyway. I don't recall seeing it. So
hmm
yeah, but I've basically been to every single Evo. Evo is awesome. I try to go every single year. I obviously won't be going this year,
hmm
but now I go just to see people.
hmm
It's basically it. Just to go have fun and hang out with
Yeah.
whoever. So it's
So
really nice to catch up with people.
So Ed, not to try and embarrass you or anything, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if you
Feel free.
caught
Go ahead. Try
I
it.
don't know if you caught any of it last night, but last night I had another fairly OG third strike player from the New
Mm-hmm.
England area, from the TGA area. You probably met him when you were there in 2007 when you
Okay.
competed in the Togeki
SPL
qualifier.
calls.
But
Yeah, SPL calls. Right.
last night I had Smooth Cat on the podcast,
Yeah, I remember him.
and
Friendly player.
he
I
was
lost to him.
yeah, and he was telling me like he was telling me a little bit about that particular qualifier. But
Yeah.
before we get to that qualifier, I had mentioned last night that the last Evo.
By the way, isn't that
Uh-huh.
crazy that thing happened probably 14 years ago?
Uh-huh.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Mhm.
I know I lost to his Chun-Li. I remember
Mhm.
what he looks like. Beyond that, I never met him before my life. I've never talked to him since, for the most
Yeah.
part. Isn't that funny how you always remember your losses?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, very, very
Yeah, of
clearly.
course,
Anyway,
of
whatever.
course. Because like
Yeah.
right when you lose, that's all you think about. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing else in your brain space
Sure.
that isn't anything related to that. You
I
know
lost
what
to
I mean?
him. I lost to Mopreem.
Mhm.
Fucking Mopreem. Anyway.
Well, so one of the things
Anyway, yeah.
that we did last night is we took a look back at some of Smooth Cat's matches. And so one of the things I mentioned last night was that the last Evo I went to was 2006. That was when Evo, I think, first got their sponsor. I think they had Toyota as a sponsor or something. And then remember they did like Evo East and West and stuff like that. And so if you remember in 2006, they did Evo West. And I think you may have gotten fourth or third in Evo West. But anyway,
Maybe.
So I was wondering if maybe you wouldn't mind watching, taking a trip down memory lane and maybe watching, maybe
Okay,
watching some
sure.
footage of that match. And so the match I
Sure,
wanted to
let's
take
do
a
it.
look at was, I figured we should go big here. So it'll be you versus
Valle? Is it the
Valle.
Valle
No,
match?
you versus Valle.
Yeah, I knew it. How did I know? Why would I not know that you're gonna do this? And I know what you're gonna ask me, so go
The
ahead.
reads. Well,
I
I don't even know what to ask you. So there's no way.
Oh,
you can know
okay.
that.
Okay, all right. Because I do remember something from that match. So
Okay.
So the context here is, by the way,
Go ahead.
I Valle is a better player than me. All right. So I'm right off the bat. Like I think he's just a better fighting game player than me. So I'm not like excited to play him. Shall I say? Like in terms of like I'm trying to win. I'm probably. Oh, wow, I remember this. It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Go ahead. That was it. That was the context. He's a better player than me, so I probably don't have a lot of confidence. I probably don't have a ton of confidence going into the match. I don't even remember if I won. Did I win?
Yeah. I don't remember. I think you did. Okay. I don't know. I don't remember either now. So it's good.
No, I don't remember.
So it's like we're watching this for the first time.
There's something that happens in this match that I remember, and that's what I thought you were gonna like. And I was like, anyway, you'll see it. The only thing I remember about this match is this one particular thing that happened.
All right. Oh shoot! No, you don't want to show that yet. All right.
God damn, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, it is.
Still playing on.
So, like, I actually made top 8.
Playing on the floor. Still putting the fucking stick on the seat in front of you. Or whatever.
So, if you don't recall, I made top 8 at this Evo West too, and
nice.
It was like, for me personally, like that was like, it was like, at the time it was like the greatest thing I ever did. You know, like
nice.
I never it wasn't free too. Like I beat Paulie, I beat Watson, I beat Rockefeller, to get into top 8, and it was like, wow,
good shit, dude.
Like,
that was your day.
Fuck. And it was funny because like a few months later I moved to New York. Remember when this button check was so new, dude?
Yeah.
Right? Like, dude. Button check. Yeah.
You know what's funny? I try to. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Let's see. So that's what's gonna happen here. And, he plays Ken, I'm assuming, right? He played white Ken. I played red Ken.
No,
right?
I think he played Ryu first.
He played Ryu first? Okay.
I think so.
So I don't know. Okay, you're right. He played Ryu first. I'm gonna.
Oh, that whip punish!
Oh, I've already lost the game. I've already lost the mental warfare already. I don't want to hit buttons anymore.
Oh, the master! Oh wow!
Oh, the master again!
You're wild, Ed.
I don't know what I'm doing. You understand that? Like you talk about strategy.
Oh, what a block!
I don't have strategy. I really don't have strategy playing this game, dude. Oh, I parried.
Yeah. You know what? What's always been your trademark, Ed, and it almost doesn't matter like what like game you play. It's the Edma shuffle. You know, the little back and forth.
Damn, that's hella good. You see me? I just walked him all the way to the corner.
Yeah. With the Edma shuffle.
By the way, that's the way you don't play a third strike.
Well, let's look at that again, dude. Look at this. All he did was just jiggle his stick to get my into the corner.
I just walked from one corner to the other corner, which is the worst way you play third strike, by the way. So anyway. I lost the first round. A lot of things aren't looking good for me.
All right. Oh shoot! What happened?
I don't know. Did you hit restart?
Oh my god. Okay.
Damn. Fuck you. Get off me. Oh, I parried. Then I failed the super. Then I hit some buttons.
Oh wow.
Who's commentating this? I feel like John was commentating.
Yeah, John was commentating.
Yeah, and because I remember the one. Yeah, okay.
Ooh, max range, short. Okay.
Wow, dude, I can't even do short super anymore. If I take like 20 tries to do that shit. You know, I tried to hit confirm on the anniversary condition edition. I can't. It's impossible.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't do it. I don't know if there's something different, or I have to play the game.
You just have to get used to it.
Damn! What the fuck? I'm hella good.
I know, master. Oh, with punish with Roundhouse Tatsu.
Wow, he's better. Oh, I'm hella good, dude.
The knowledge.
I would never do that. I would never do that.
Oh, what? Low short.
Did I talk? Go back.
Okay.
See, go back.
All right, so let me fix.
That's what I think I am remembering. Was this on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I don't know why it's doing this. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't do that again. Okay.
That's the you probably people. I don't know if people thought I did. People must know I did not do that on purpose.
Yeah, clearly.
Obviously, right? But I remember John was like, "Oh, the master's taunting. Oh, what is blah blah blah." And I'm like, clearly I did not do that on purpose, dude. Well, I didn't get punished for it too hard though, so that's nice. Wow.
It's just, like I know, like, you were able to block that, right? But the fact that Vaille's looking for that shit,
like, you can't really react to dashes in this game, especially with a slow ass low forward. You got to be sticking that shit out preemptively. So if he was trying to react to the dash, good luck to him. Damn, I forgot you could do that. Yeah, well, obviously I don't mean to do that. He only set me. What a scrub.
I'm pretty sure you can punish with strong Shoryu too. Strong Shoryu.
I'm pretty sure you can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Or something? I'm not sure.
Yeah. He's scared. You know why he didn't punish? Because obviously he's scared, right? He's like right now he's looking just to not get hurt. You know what's cool about this video is I can't see the life bars, so I have no idea who's winning. I'm like, oh, is this? Oh, he won. I won. Yeah.
There you go. All right, so then I think he switches to Ken.
Oh, he plays purple Ken. That's why I thought white Ken because he played white Ryu. But
so I'm surprised you didn't sit on you didn't play on the floor. You played purple on the Ken, you put your stick on another chair, right?
Yeah, that's what we all did back. That's what I did back then.
No, I had to sit on the floor, dude. I had to sit on the floor.
I think because we were playing with those
especially with American sticks. Yeah.
Heavy ass. I had a big heavy ass stick. This guy named Zug made for me. I think that was what I was playing. Oh, he played white Ken. Never mind. Maybe he played purple and apples. Yeah. Yeah, these sticks are heavy, right?
Yeah.
Like the fucking American bat sticks. Like you're just like, you're manhandling that thing. It's not like the Japanese sticks where you can be very nice to them. Did he take my color? Am I red?
Yeah, he took your color.
What a dick.
Well, you know they always did that back in the day, dog.
That's the Watsons.
Dude, Cobra Kai, dog. Sweep the leg. The only reason Hung never stole colors is because nobody used his character.
Yeah.
Well, what? That sweep was crazy.
What am I thinking here? It's like trying to out. The funny thing is, like,
oh my god.
Yeah. I want to say that his footsies actually aren't that good. Like, they're good, but they're not like when I think of the best footsie players in the world, I don't think of Valle. So,
well,
I
think Valle's reactions kind of allowed him to kind of compensate
more like,
for some of those stuff.
It's the way he plays is just very unique. That's all I can say to it, and so it's very effective. So I think maybe I was just trying to play, Ken versus Ken. You're just trying to play footsies, basically.
Yeah.
So I probably felt like, okay, cool. I can at least play footsies with you. Whereas the thing is, if I play against someone like, say, Justin or Ricky, like, I have zero confidence in my ability to out footsie them.
You do know, Ed, that you, like, players like you and Valle and Paul.
Ooh, it's the purple Ken. I remember.
Players like you are like, it's your fault, right? That Ken v Ken is the American classic, right? Why is that? Because when I went to Japan, I just kind of assumed, everyone plays Ken v Ken there too. Like, it's just as popular in America as it is in Japan, and that was not the case. And clearly, it's an American thing.
It's funny. Like, I'm at the stage in my life where, like I said, I'm trying, my fighting game sort of experience where I'm like, I would like to teach people and if they have questions, I want to help them out and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember hearing stories about like I just played the game back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know that there was like people there was YouTube started up, and like Denja was making videos and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't think about any of that stuff at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until later when I would hear people saying like, I used to watch your matches of you playing. That inspired me to play Ken and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I was always like, okay, whatever. That's weird.
Dude,
but it's nice that it's cool that like people you have an impact on people to want to play a game.
Dude, whether you're aware of it or not, your impact on the American Dirt Strike scene is just immeasurable. Like, because you were one of the first.
I don't.
You were one of the first. You kind of set the tone.
Yeah, if you ask me now, I really have no idea. Like, I don't actually know. But I have heard some people say like, oh yeah, I watched your video. So I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Oh, that was sick.
Not that sick, dude. It's just
oh, no super? Okay. Oh, what a whiff punish.
Damn, I'm helping!
Oh my god.
It's cool that we can't see the life bars. So
oh, wow.
Yeah, you see that Vi looked down on the stick after he got hit by the parry. He was like, what? I parried that.
Wow.
After he got hit by that fireball, I could see him look down on his stick like, what is bullshit?
Shout outs to Evo, obviously holding it down. 20 plus years. Check out Evo.
He got me back way later in a game that I cared way more about in Street Fighter 4.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh, at the are you talking about the qualifier?
Yeah. That like fucking whatever, that like 20-hour tournament, whatever that was.
I remember that I was there during that event. It was I believe it was you and Ken versus Peter.
Yeah, it was me, Ken, and him and Peter in the finals.
Wow.
Yeah, that was at the end of like a whatever that.
That was when
I think it was like 20 hours.
That's when you busted. Long. I think you caught. Did you catch Valle twice with like?
Yes, I did.
With
the thing is, what's funny about that? Is on the ride over, okay. I was talking to Kenai. I remember this, and I was like, this is way before the tournament started, and I was like, one thing I'm gonna do, Ken, is if I need a comeback, I'm gonna do this. And the reason I know it works is there's a reason I know that it works is because people think that when you land, it's the same as it's like you fall way faster than people think from that EX-Hurricane kick. So they're trying to time it like a normal jump, but they can't because unless they have experience practicing against it, it's not going to work the same way as a normal jump. So that's why I know it's going to work against someone who's not used to it. That's why I did it. It's scrubby. Don't get me wrong. It's a fucking hella gimmick.
But you hit him twice with that shit.
Yeah. But in a tournament, you pull out the gimmicks. So whatever,
Twice.
And my point is that I thought about it beforehand. So it's not like I was just like, it was like, I don't know what else I'm gonna do. Like I already had planned this out.
That's what separates Edma from other players.
No, he plans. That's me. But that's my point. Is in Street Fighter 4. That's what I'm saying. Even like little stupid shit like that. That was why I was better at Street Fighter 4
at that time.
At that time, not because I'm a better fighting game player. It's because I knew more. It's that simple, really. It wasn't like I knew a little bit more too.
Well, knowledge is power, right? Knowledge is power.
I knew like way more.
And I remember that event because East Coast players came out to that. I think Joe came out.
Everybody came out to that.
Arturo was there.
Joe came out to that. Yeah, everybody came out to that. NorCal players came down.
Yeah.
I was very confident at that event. I was very, very confident. I was very confident throughout the first year of Street Fighter 4 for the most part. And confidence goes a long way to like boosting your ability to win. Here's another funny story. The first year, so the year I got top 8 in Evo,
Third Strike.
For Third Strike. The very first match that I played was against. Remember Jerry? Do you remember Jerry, the kid from Family Fun? He played Ken.
Yeah, I remember Jerry. Yeah.
So my very first match in Third Strike that year was against him, and I lost.
Yeah, you lost. I remember that. And
I never lose to that kid, right?
Yeah.
But I do. But here's the thing. I remember going into that like not feeling very confident for whatever reason. So I lost. And that's the point is I'm trying to make there is confidence matters quite a bit. And so one, I knew a lot more in Street Fighter 4, and that knowledge made me very, very confident in my gameplay. right? So that confidence helps you, execute your strategies very well.
Mm-hmm.
But then I lost to Jerry, who, I'm not saying he's terrible or whatever, but like I never lose to that guy, and then I just lost to him. Very first match. And then I ended up making a run. I'm making a run through the losers bracket or whatever, and I ended up somehow getting top 8. But the reason that's another thing is like I was very. So after I lost to Jerry, I was like, well, this year is not going to go so well for me in Third Strike. And then I didn't play Third Strike for a while because they were playing all the other games. And then finally they called the Third Strike. I had to go play the Third Strike loser matches, and I played it straight all the way. Like I did play nothing but Third Strike very quickly from the first match that I played all the way till like basically they ended out the day. And I started winning, and my confidence grew really, really high, like really, really high, to the point where when I had to play like someone like Amir, who I have very low confidence against in Third Strike specifically, because I just don't like, I have a hard time against Chun, and he's one of the best Chuns. My confidence was so high against him that I really crushed him. Like at least actually he put me in losers. That year was weird because they reset the bracket, so I lucked out and I lost to him. But the next time I played him, I crushed him really bad, and I think mostly because it was confidence. So it's kind of funny how that works,
Ed, you're on, since we're on the topic of mental toughness. To me, and this isn't a slight at any particular Third Strike player that currently competes in the Jazzy circuit, but I feel like, and I think this might, this may be a challenge this might be a challenge that I kind of see with a lot of the newer players, especially the newer players that are trying to pick up older games, younger players. It's that because the game is sort of niche, right? And because not many people play it, like players don't get an opportunity to like compete in the environment that we competed in. You know what I mean? So like they could like a lot of younger Third Strike players now, this is just kind of from my observation. Like a lot of them are technically sound. Their knowledge of the game is strong. Like you said, right? They have all the resources that we didn't have. And so they're already starting out really well. But the one thing that I think that they lack is kind of what you were talking about. And that's tournament, like experience, like just like the mental side of it, like how to approach matches and so forth and so on. And it sucks because it's like, because it's such a niche game, when are they going to have that experience, right? Like the only way to get that experience is to play a main game, right? Like SF5 or Dragon Ball or whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
So like for newer players that are trying to learn an older game, it's obviously harder to find those opportunities to get tournament experience under your belt and to make you kind of more mentally tough. And so, like kind of when I was thinking about your comments, and I was thinking, wow, like maybe, that's one thing we can learn from the older players, like sharing their experiences and like talking about how they handled pressure, like those things, right? Because those things are timeless when it comes to competition, regardless of whatever game or sport. The mental thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, I think that,
and it seemed from you, just kind of, watching your career and watching you play, there's just something like you have a certain mental toughness about you.
That's interesting you say that.
That isn't common, right? I mean, other people have it, and obviously other people have it.
I don't think that's. I actually don't. I don't necessarily agree with you. What I'll say is that because, like, I'll have tournament nerves too. Although back then I wasn't really that nervous because I played tournaments so much. I think it's just that I played a lot of tournaments, so I got used to it. I don't remember how I felt in my first couple tournaments. Maybe I felt very nervous.
Yeah, but just
I played so many tournaments that it's like, it's not a, like people get on. It's interesting because now I know that people when they like now that they do streaming and all this stuff and they play in front of a crowd, some people get very nervous. And I remember I think I'm sure I would have been nervous too, but like I remember the year I got top 8 in Street Fighter 4. That year was very big for Evo, right? Street Fighter 4 had something like, I forget now, like 1,500 entrants or something like that. There was a lot of people. And so the night of, I go up on stage to play top 8, and I look out in the crowd, and there's just a shit ton of people.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I was just like, "Oh, this is so awesome." I didn't even think about like being nervous because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because I had mental. It's not because I think it's just because I played the game. I played a lot of tournaments, and specifically for Street Fighter. So one thing I'll say is that it's a lot easier to be mentally tough, so to speak, if you have, like you said earlier, which is you have a strategy going in,
Mm-hmm.
and you also have backup strategies, and you
Mm-hmm.
understand the choices you have to make during a game,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when you can focus on that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
when you can focus on that stuff and be like just mentally like in the game itself, then you don't think about it. It keeps you from being distracted by outside factors like you're being streamed or whatever that people are watching you, right? That's one way of doing about it, and for sure that helped me in 4, because in 4, right, aside from the fact that I already played a bunch of tournaments, every single match I played, and I mean every single match I played, every single tournament, every single matchup, character to character, I had specific things that I was looking for to do, to beat, how to, et cetera, right? And and it was stuff that I had worked out over time, over the last year or so, playing against people, so that I had confidence, quote unquote confidence in like the the feasibility of the strategy working, so I could focus on that stuff, right? So that helps with the mental toughness as well. Right? When you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, or like when when you don't like you don't understand like sort of the choices you're supposed to be making.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you don't care about the match, it doesn't really matter. But when it comes time as a pressure point, like you have to like, oh shit, something's about to happen. If you don't, if you have no context, if you haven't planned, then of course you're gonna like be like, oh, you're just gonna sort of panic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then also you might get influenced by outside factors. So I don't think my point is I don't think I'm any particularly more mentally tough than anybody else. It's just that I I had played a lot of tournament experience,
Mm-hmm.
so it was no big deal to me to be being streamed because I didn't really think about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And B, if I had, once you had like game knowledge, that helps so much.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that helps so much, but I mean, it helps so much in terms of like of playing to the best of your ability during a tournament, because you're just simply focused on like your strategies and what you want to do and what you're supposed to be doing. And then this thing happens and you're like, okay, cool. I know that if that thing happens, then I have to like think about this stuff or whatever, right? You don't really get lost in like what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I just say from a spectator standpoint, right? Because there are so many times I've seen you where it's like you're just like dead in the water, man, and then you just kind of like you just make a comeback or you pull out something really clutch, and
Oh wow.
it's like I don't know, like I never, at least just from me, right? From what I remembering watching you, like I never felt like you were ever nervous at any point when playing the game. You know, and again, that's just from a spectator standpoint, right? Like it never seemed like
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think that in general I wasn't nervous.
Mm-hmm.
In general, I wasn't nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Not, at least not because it was a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
No, I get you.
But having said that, I did lose to Jerry, and I think part of that loss was like maybe I wasn't feeling very confident, and I'm sure part of that was like somehow it was a tournament scene or something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I just come off a loss in another game. I don't remember now.
Mm-hmm.
So I do get nervous. I get nervous, and it's just a matter of like, are you able to focus? For me, it's like, am I able to focus on other stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Am I able to just basically get into the game? Definitely. Right, like Third Strike, especially Third Strike.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason is a very like momentum driven game.
Oh,
and
definitely.
You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily, you don't necessarily play, there isn't like a one style, like a one strategy that's going to work for you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's like, I guess, part of the beauty of the game. So yeah, when you make right decision after right decision in that game in particular, it just boosts your confidence so high. So I don't know, whatever.
And maybe that's why, the Japanese, they love the team format. I mean, obviously the biggest Third Strike tournament of the year now is Co-op Cup, 5v5. That's momentum is definitely a thing at Co-op Cup.
Yeah.
If your guy can win the first couple matches, it really like the other teams behind the eight ball, and it's like immediately the pressure's there, and
Yeah, it's interesting what it is about that game. Why? Because you could say that about any fighting game that momentum is huge, but it's something about
it's the
Third
threat of the
Strike.
parry. It's the threat of the parry.
It's the threat of the parry, yeah, where you're like so confident in like what the opponent's going to do or what you can like how you can attack and they can't parry you or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that it gives you the feeling of total control,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which
And
is
on and
something
on
like
the and on the flip side, right? When you're on
yeah,
the receiving end of that,
yeah. Yeah, it sucks. You're like, what? I don't, whatever. I guess I can't press any buttons,
Mhm.
right? And you can get that feeling. I think it's different, and you can get that feeling anywhere in Third Strike, which is like, let's just say that's a feeling that I'd say, for example, let's say you're playing footsies with somebody, right, in neutral, and you're just better than them, or you're just outplaying them.
Uh-huh.
Really, what they feel like is they can't out neutral you. They can't press a button. They're going to get whiff punished, or they can just, or the opponent can just walk up to you for free, and you can't stop them, right? At least in that regard. But that's just like the neutral part of the game. Third strike parry makes that happen. I think maybe everywhere in the game.
No, every moment is.
Jump ins every moment, and so that's why it's very momentum based. I don't know. That's just like that would be like a off the cuff theory,
No, you're
basically.
right, because it sort of it enhances the significance of all of the little, what I like to call, mini games that you play in any round of a fighting game. And
Yeah,
by I mean mini games, I mean, like, when you play somebody and then the round starts, like, there's always going to be those little, sub sort of mind games, right, or spacing or whatever and stuff like that. And to me, the
yeah,
threat of the parry, sort of, I was talking to this last night about Smooth Cat, is that, to me, like, when it comes to Third Strike, like, when a player gets better and then they keep playing an opponent that's also like around the same strength, like, the number of those mini games in each round increases, which in turn sort of enhances the kind of like the anxiety,
sure.
and it makes the game that much more tense. Like, have you ever, like, even just watching Third Strike, I don't know how, like, I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm looking at this through Third Strike tinted glasses, but like, Marvel's a different kind of hype, but it's just as hype, maybe not even more hype. But like, there's something
Mm.
about Third Strike, right? Like, it's just so hype. Like,
Right. Well, anything can happen at any time,
you could show a
basically.
match of Third Strike to somebody who's never really watched Third Strike before, and for some reason, they can kind of sense, like, obviously they won't know anything about the game, but like, they seem to be able to sense that pressure. It's the sort of air of, like, I don't know, like, I don't know what to call it. It's like, it's this like
Mm,
tension that
could be.
exists throughout the entire
Well,
game.
that could be true. If I had to make a guess as to why that is,
Mm-hmm.
I think part of that reason might just be like you see more action in the game
Mm-hmm.
than maybe in other
Mm-hmm.
Street Fighter games because you can just force action,
Mm-hmm.
right? In like say a traditional Street Fighter or at least more of a Street Fighter oriented game, your options are more limited by what you have to earn the right to do certain things, right? To force action in certain ways. You can't just be like, I'm gonna jump at you or I'm just gonna dash at you whenever I want. Who cares? I'm
Mm-hmm.
just gonna walk at you and do nothing. I'm just gonna walk at you. I don't care. Push down.
Mm-hmm.
You have to sort of earn your space, so to speak. And in Third Strike, you don't have to do any of that shit. At least not. It's true. Like at least not in that way. So the point is that you can force action and you can force that mini game to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Those
Yeah,
sort of mini games to happen way more.
yeah.
And you just be like, it's
Because
gonna happen. Here it comes.
yeah,
Time to play this game. And
because theoretically, right? Like, not that it's ever realistic, but kind of going back to what we were talking about in our experience playing Frankie. Theoretically, you could play somebody who guesses right every time, right? Like, it doesn't,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know what I mean? Like that situation you're talking about, like jumping in, right?
yeah,
Like,
dude.
if it's 100% guaranteed that he's going to counter whatever you do, whether they decide to anti-air, whether they decide to dash under or whatever, right? Like, there's always that
Mhm.
potential that the other character or the other opponent's going to basically guess right or do the thing that's going to counter what it is you were trying to do.
Mhm.
So I kind of get that, right? Like how parry
Yeah,
can force to action as well.
yeah. It's. I remember I had a discussion a long time ago. I've had this discussion many times, but it's basically you you get to the opponent cannot stop you from forcing the game of Third Strike to happen.
Mm-hmm.
they can't like be like, no, I don't want to play this game.
Mhm.
Right? Like for at least not like Yun can activate Gynogen or something and fine. That like kills it for X amount of time or whatever. Or I guess Chun-Li kind of kills it just because her buns are really good and she has super or something. But whatever. The point is you cannot stop that game from you just can't stop it from happening. It's gonna happen.
Mhm.
And so and therefore more action can occur. So maybe that's why
Mhm.
it's more tense
Mhm.
in that regard. It's like just up close happens
Mhm.
quite a lot in that game.
Mhm.
You know, people are just dashing around and jumping around. That's always fun to watch from a spectator standpoint.
Yeah.
Like I mean, honest, I like Street Fighter a lot, but when two people go like this, for long periods of time, and by long I mean whatever you consider long, that's probably not the most exciting thing for the average spectator.
Are you inferring to the riveting grand finals of the Third Strike Evos when we had Chun-Li?
Oh, just Chun-Li. Yeah, just in general. I just mean in general when you get prolonged gameplay like that. Like, what's more exciting for a spectator, this or like jumping dash?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Well, it depends
like,
on the spectator's understanding of Third Strike, right?
Right, but I mean the average. I just mean the average,
Yeah.
like a spectator who wants to see like cool shit happening and like is able to like translate that stuff that they see into like, oh, there's a tense moment about to occur, as it's occurring right now. So,
well, I kind of want to get your opinion on this because to me, in many ways, that's kind of like the responsibility of the sport, right? Like, for example, I know you're not like a big sports person, but like the UFC, obviously the UFC is fucking huge now, right? But like, remember, like, I still remember when UFC 1 came out. Like, that shit was a joke. Like, people didn't take it seriously. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody was like, what is this? This circus sideshow or whatever. And like, but how did the UFC grow? Like, it had to sort of educate its audience. You know what I mean? Like, they took it upon themselves to kind of educate the audience and go, no, this is what we're actually doing in here. I mean, obviously they had to modify the rules and design the game and so forth and so on. And so, like, kind of like what you were talking about, right? Like, what's more exciting, just seeing like two people kind of wiggle around playing footsies, or action. Of course, if you don't know, like, if your level of understanding of fighting games is here, then of course that shit's gonna be more appealing to you. But if the audience is able to understand why, like, this shit is also kind of tense, then
that's good too. I mean, that was an extreme example. Like, obviously, most Street Fighter games don't just end up doing this for too long, but they do it for a bit.
No, I get
but yeah,
you.
is it up to the game?
Yeah,
of course, it's up to the game to like for spectator. Like, you say these days, you make a game for you want to make sure you make a good hardcore whatever fighting game. Let's just say fighting game, right? But as much as you make a game for the player, you're probably making the game, at least partially for the spectator.
Yeah.
Right. Especially in this day and age. So, especially for like, if you want an audience of some sort. So yeah, for sure, when you're like a game is being made, you want to think about the spectator as well, right? So, yeah, I mean, it's for sure. Like, I think haven't rules for various sports changed over the years?
Yeah.
For spectator purposes,
exactly.
Like basketball.
Almost everything is for
basketball change.
Almost every rule change. Almost every rule change is for spectators.
It's for spectators, right? Yeah, like I've heard rules about like basketball and whatever other sports. So yeah, because that's where if it wasn't for the spectators, then the sports wouldn't exist anyway. So it's like at least not on a professional level. So yeah, of course they need to make sure that the spectators are entertained. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, speaking of spectators, we're getting towards the end of the podcast, Ed, and so it's about that time. Again, I know you're new to the Mutant XPerience podcast, but
I'm new to any podcast.
Yeah,
I think this is maybe the first podcast I've done.
But did you do one with Gutex?
Yeah, but that was pre-recorded, right? So that's what I thought this was going to be. I thought that you and I were just going to talk and catch up or whatever, and then you would put it out or something like that. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I just.
Oh, okay. Well. Anyway, so we've come to that point in the show where we have this segment called "Pack It Up," and basically it's kind of like a gag reel. I pick out five five examples of what I think are some of the more unique examples of Third Strike gameplay. Right,
I'm just
kind of like
stupid.
Basically. But hey, you know what, Ed?
Go ahead. All right, go
Again,
ahead.
I defend Pack It Up by saying that, to me, I'm doing a service to the scene because no one wants to be on Pack It Up, and so it makes them more focused, so that they don't want to mess up, or they don't want to be on
All right.
Pack It Up. You know what I mean? So anyway,
So what do I do?
you don't do anything. We're just gonna watch it.
Oh, okay.
But that's kind of the segment of the show that we're on. And so,
okay, cool.
Without further ado, before we start, just some context here. Obviously, last night we had a separate Pack It Up segment that was chronicling some of the footage from last week's Jazzy Online fundraiser. And by the way, guys, shout outs to the Third Strike scene. So far, we have done 6 total Jazzy Online fundraisers, raising money for some of the Jazzy affiliated venues. Because, like I said before, guys, if these venues don't stay open, there's no point in running Jazzy because we wouldn't have anywhere to run them. And so far, you guys have been super generous. You guys in total have donated over $6,000 to 6 different venues across the country. And so shout outs to the Third Strike scene and for everyone else in the FGC that definitely supported. Shout outs to Demon of the Mist, who donated a whopping $2,000+ to Next Level the other week. Wow. And so, with that said, guys, remember that at the end of the month, AC Slayer is going to team up with the Jazzy Circuit and Daisuke to bring you a Fightcade 3v3 tournament to raise money for Game Newton. And so I'm not even going to explain, there's you should already know. You should already know. And so I encourage you guys to sign up, fightcadeforthefuture.com. Shout outs to AC Slayer and Daisuke, and it's going to be streamed on Arturo stream, NYC Furby. But anyway, Pack It Up. All of the clips for tonight's Pack It Up are gonna come from this past week's Jazzy Online fundraiser. So normally these Jazzy Online fundraisers are streamed on Vankabot's channel. Please follow this man at Vankabot, twitch.tv/Vankabot. But unfortunately, Vankabot ran into some technical issues. But the Jazzy Circuit's a team, and so Katie Alpha came in and saved the day and streamed the Jazzy Online fundraiser for that night. And so shout outs to Katie Alpha for definitely coming in the clutch. And so with that said, here are 5 examples, 5 not so clutch examples, Ed, of some Third Strike gameplay that was from that online tournament.
Why is it called Pack It Up? What's the origin of Pack It Up?
It's kind of like a saying, right? Like, pack it up.
Yeah, you lost. Yeah. Pack it up. Yeah. All right. I'm just saying these are probably going to be clips of people being bad, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. All right.
Which is right up your alley, Ed.
Yeah, you were
like a human.
You put a prawn clip to me, okay?
You were a human. Pack it up. Like in the sense that you always if someone fucked up, Ed was for sure to say something.
I talk a lot of shit. So, you apologize to Third Strike players for your play. I apologize to players for any shit talking I did.
Okay. So, all right, guys. Without further ado, here is this second week's edition of Pack It Up. Again, shout outs to Dirt Master for supplying the theme music for Pack It Up.
I don't hear any music.
That's all right. As long as you can see it. Nominee number 1. And so we have Artaze doing random super, but Giga Scrub kind of jumps the gun here. Doesn't really wait for the super to finish.
Kind of sweet.
Nominee number 2. I can't even. There's no words for this. Online Urian mirrors, Ed. Whew. It's so
Dude, you know the best match? Okay,
no.
we're gonna watch this, but afterwards we're gonna discuss a money match.
Okay.
Oh my! We're talking about Urian versus Urian.
Okay.
Excuse me.
So nominee number 3. I think I know what you're talking about. So nominee number 3.
You know what I'm talking about.
So there's a Ken Mirror, Own a Guy, Wake Up Super.
All right.
Not a really good idea. And
not the worst thing in the world.
Oh my god. And so Yeah.
No,
Not
maybe
a-
he thought he was going
not
to
a-
parry down or something.
Yeah. Well, that's that's what it's like in online Third Strike. Nominee number 4. Some more Giga Scrub versus Crimson. Crimson, I don't know what he's doing here. He just kind of he just decides to super. I think he just snapped or something.
He did a little bit of damage.
Yeah, a little bit. And nominee number 5. This is why you don't play footsies online. Kachik trying to be sweet here. Yeah, that's kind of not the kind of movement you want to use in an online Third Strike tournament.
Nice editing.
And so, tell me, guys, what your favorite is. Tweet me at Mutant XP. Let me know what your favorite clip is. And so that was tonight's edition of Pack It Up.
I'm gonna go with number 1. One was kind of funny.
Number one was pretty funny.
All right. So you remember the money match between Gutex and Emphy?
And yes.
And Mr. Naps?
Actually, you know what?
And then right after
you know
that,
what?
and then right after.
Let's just watch it. I mean, let's just watch it.
Let's watch that. But
it's on YouTube. So
by the way, Mr. Emphy, Mr. Naps. And then you remember what happened is Rocket John challenged him.
Yeah.
And you remember how that match went?
Okay. First of all, wait.
So fucking stupid.
Wait.
Holy shit. It was hilarious, but it was so stupid.
Hold on. Let's clarify this, okay? Because I don't want to
go for it.
Because I don't want to make it seem like fucking like Rockefeller like bullied Emphy into doing the set.
I don't even remember what happened with that.
To be like super specific, like it wasn't like people were egging John on, right? Like people were like, dude, you should play Emphy.
Okay.
Dude, you should play Emphy. Like it wasn't like John. Okay. Like there was just
people were just kidding. I bet Watson was trying to try.
Yeah, I think it might have been Watson. Might have been the main instigator.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Anyway, that match, that Urian versus Urian, is the dumbest Urian versus Urian, or maybe the most brilliant Urian versus Urian match.
Oh, here it is.
I've ever seen in my life. You can find it.
I found it.
Holy shit, dude! That's just us.
I found it. So, are we watching the Rockefeller portion?
No, I mean, you don't want to watch the Gutex. Gutex just gets beat down.
No, I'm just. Okay, let's just watch. Okay, so
watch the Rockefeller portion.
Okay, so Emphy beats Gutex, 5-0, and
the 5-0, yeah, that was bad. All right,
and then
he was good, by the way. I'm not talking shit on Emphy.
No.
He's very, very good.
And
he came out of nowhere. He was extremely good.
And then Rockefeller was sort of egged on by everybody to do a follow-up first to 3, right?
Oh my god, that match is so funny. I remember watching that shit there when I was there. I was like, what is going on? This is Third Strike.
So tell me some of your favorite memories from this match, because you brought it up.
Every single time someone just wakes up and presses down fierce.
Why
just
not?
Count how many. It'll start happening. I don't think it happens.
Oh, right there! Right there! Why not? That's how the character's built.
What's that? This is just stupid, dude. I'm sorry.
Wake up standing roundhouse. I like it. But that's how the character's built, dude.
Sure.
That's.
And then there's some mirror shit, blah blah blah, whatever. Dude, he just fucking walks and hits down.
Okay, now that wasn't that smart, but oh my god.
I'm sorry, you're saying that was less smart than wake up down fierce?
Well, I mean, he knew. He clearly saw the.
I haven't followed the evolution of
he clearly saw the mirror there. So why would why would he complete the combo? He knew he was gonna get hit. That's what I meant. But
people always say that Street Fighter 4 killed meaties because of uppercut FADC. This game, you don't fucking meaty.
Yeah, I mean, meaties are usually not that great.
This game kills meaties, okay?
Unless maybe like overhead meaty, like
just down fierce.
Yeah. But that's the strength of the character. That's kind of how. No, but that's.
I mean, look, this is an entertaining fucking match. So I preface this with this is the stupidest match I've ever seen. It was fucking hilarious to watch. I remember watching this shit live and I was like, oh my god.
Didn't Rockefeller win 3-0
He wins. He fucking hella wins. He plays stupider than Envy. Or whatever. Not stupider. He just plays the game better. You know, like Ryan Gutex is probably trying to play all smart and shit or whatever.
Gotta play to the character's strengths. Remember, it's all about efficiency, right? And maybe that's just the most efficient way to play Urian, right? Because, like, what if you land that one crouching fierce? What happens?
I think so. I
you're dead. You're dead.
That's why deadly players jump all day.
Yeah, well, they have to jump. I mean, you know.
Vic didn't jump that much. He jumped, but he managed to be.
But like, anyway, back to your point, right? We just weren't good enough to recognize that. Hey, man, maybe we should.
He should have jumped more. He should have jumped. I'm not gonna lie. Of course, he should have jumped more.
He just starts off with knee drop. I like it, Rock.
He's too good jumping, man. Anyway, this is a good match.
Yeah. Dude, but Urian versus Urian is one of those wonky mirrors, man. Like, it just lends itself to... Yeah.
You can make up low jab and a headbutt. And then, you know, you get Aegis out and you're like, haha, I don't have to rub parry for a little bit.
Oh my gosh, that parry was godlike.
He was pressing down fierce no matter what. He had already queued it up. It's like, even if you're nowhere near me, I'm pressing down fierce. I'm gonna press forward right now, and then I'll fucking hold down and press his heavy punch, and we're gonna see what happens.
Dude, Emphy has no idea what's going on.
Emphy tried to play. Emphy's a very smart because Emphy is Mr. Naps. So if you guys don't know, he's the really good Tekken player. But I don't think he plays. He doesn't play as crazy as fucking John. John's a crazy player, dude. I guess you can't really get punished anyway.
Because why not? You could EX tackle, but why would you do that?
Can't really get punished anyway. It's just funny, dude. I just remember right off the bat, it was like, wake up down fierce. I'm like, what?
Why did he tackle there? Oh, wow, that was sick.
Yeah,
okay, that was smart. That was smart. Okay.
What's the score?
I can't see. It's 2-0.
Yeah, he wins 3-0. I'm not the spoiler. He wins 3-0. Shit was funny, dude. This is up there with the most third strike matches I've ever seen in my life. It's just what?
Dude, but just like the story surrounding it, right? Like, it was supposed to be like Emphy and fucking Gutex.
Yeah.
And then Rockefeller ends up like...
Whatever, just gets blocked, his head.
And remember, at this point, right, Rockefeller...
you see that? Emphy trying to dash up and crouch fierce.
Yeah.
Wasn't even close.
This almost looks like a Fightcade match.
Just fucking whatever, down fierce. If it isn't broken, why fix it?
Oh,
yes. Just whatever. Who cares? Who gives a fuck?
Wow, that
yes, it's more down fierce. So I haven't seen this match in a long time, but it's not disappointing me right now. I'll tell you that much. I was a little worried that I was gonna be like, I was a little worried that I was gonna watch it right now and be like, oh, this isn't as funny as I remember.
Oh my god,
it's not as fucking funny as I remember, dude. Whatever. What a fitting end. Down fierce. Anyway,
was that Rockefeller cementing his position as best best American Urian when he beat Envy there?
Funny. That shit was so funny, dude. I just was like, what is happening here? I don't understand this game at all.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, you done?
Yeah, man. Well, before we go, dude, just one last thing. Just wanted to talk about your trips to Japan, and like obviously you've been to Japan, and so like just real quickly, what are some of the what are some of your favorite Third Strike moments in Japan? Doesn't have to be in the game, could be whatever, dude.
Let me think. What are my favorite Third Strike moments?
Like, what's the first time you went to Japan? And was it for fighting games?
Just period? I went to Japan when I was a kid.
Okay.
Just for a little bit on my way back from China, and I was there for a few days with my mom. But I was a kid back then. I think the first time I went to Japan, I don't remember. I've been to Japan a few times. Once with a coworker, an old coworker of mine. So that was not fighting game related at all. And the other time was with Gutex, and the rest of a lot of the SoCal people. And I think I want to say that there was maybe one other time too. I went
Mm-hmm.
with I can't remember now. I think there was 3 times I've went,
Mm-hmm.
and I never really went for third strike,
Mm-hmm.
right? Oh no, because the year that I tried, I lost a smooth cat, right? There was the SBO quals, and me and Ryan actually traveled the East Coast for one, whatever. But there was one last chance qualifier in Japan, and so I think I went for that. I
Mm-hmm.
think I don't even remember if I entered. I honestly don't remember. It was a long time ago. What I do remember is this. Here's a funny story.
All right, all right.
Well, kind of a funny story. What's that one? What's that one Akuma player? Match or
I mean,
uh,
what, Japanese Akuma player?
Japanese Akuma player?
Well, I mean,
I
there are a
think
lot
it's
of them, but like probably Matt. You're probably talking about Match, Jiro. I mean,
I think match. I think it's match. Anyway, so at the last chance qualifier at the SBO, he got teamed up with some I think he got teamed up with some American dude. It was like
mm-hmm.
I don't know who it was, some
Mm-hmm.
black dude or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when I learned. And this is when I learned the meaning of the word kokujin.
Uh-huh.
It's because I guess when that happened, he was talking to his friends. He's like kokujin, kokujin, and someone told me like, yeah, that just means black guy. So he was just like telling his friends like, yeah, I teamed up with this black guy, kokujin, kokujin.
I wonder who
So I
that
don't know if
was.
it's like I don't know. I have no idea who it was, and I don't know even know if that guy knew that match was saying that. And I don't know if he meant it in a derogatory way,
Mm-hmm.
but it sounded kind of like he was saying like, "Oh, look at this," you know. So I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
But yeah.
on that note, Ed, thank you again for coming on the show. Really appreciate you sharing your stories and your experiences coming up in the SoCal FGC scene. Maybe we'll see a little bit more of you around the FGC.
Yeah,
hopefully,
yeah. No, I'm around, dude.
Awesome.
If you guys want to play Grand Blue, I'm on there every day. For the most part, I'm
Awesome.
playing the game quite a lot these days. I think it's very fun. So
All right.
you can play me on that.
All right, guys. So thanks again for everyone tuning in. Just real quickly, remember, guys, Fightcade for the Future 3v3 team tournament happening at the end of the month. You can sign up fightcadeforthefuture.com or tinyurl.com/fightcadeforthefuture. And of course, for anyone who's interested in the Jazzy circuit, check out our Smash page, follow us on Twitter, and all that good stuff. And so once again, thank you so much, Ed, for coming on the show. And I will see you guys next time.
No problem, dude.